Well, what is up, everybody? It's been a crazy week, past couple weeks, crazy month in precious metals. Clearly, there is a disconnect here, and I want to talk about it with you all. I have all these charts and all these things pulled over here on the left. What's crazy to me, and I put it in the title in this live stream, is we have record inflation numbers come out. We finally breached that 9%, 9.1% on the CPI for June came out. And still, we're seeing the dollar index showing strength. We're seeing people selling their precious metals and metals prices going down. Now, what's interesting, too, as a dealer, I'm connected to the wholesale world of precious metals. And I'm actually seeing, and I have to be honest, I'm seeing premiums go down. So what an opportunity this is. You have a artificial strength in the dollar, in my personal opinion, and you have cheap silver and gold right now. So what should we do? What's going to happen? It's like, to me, I really like to continue the phrase that, blood in the streets separates the wolves from the sheep. And people need to decide whether it's time to buckle down, get some cash together and sit on the sidelines, or if it's time to, sell their metals, or if it's time to buy more metals. For me personally, I think that it's time to be building, build your businesses, stack some money, get some powder dry, and kind of sit on the sidelines. My overall play on precious metals is I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I had none right now, because then I don't know that I have custody of my assets. So the custody aspect makes me sleep well at night. Having silver and gold in my safe makes me sleep well at night. But the timing aspect of it, you can never time a market. You can never get the top, you can never get the bottom, but you can do your best to cost average and try to get somewhat close to those lows and highs. But with precious metals right now, it just seems like the perfect storm. I'm going to go over some things in this video of why this recession that we could possibly be going through, in my personal opinion, I got to keep saying my personal opinion, not financial advice. You guys know the drill, but I think that this is different than 2008. And in my personal opinion, I think we're already in a recession right now. I think we've been in a recession. I think it's more of a stagflation that we've been in for upwards of 6 months to a year, maybe longer than that. But we're just starting to feel the effects of stagflation. We're starting to finally see what's happening and the effects of going into this recession, the stagflation type cycle from about a year ago, maybe even further back. And then now it's just starting to come to the surface. But this time around is way different than the last recession, the last major recession we went through, mainly because in 2008 and 2009, 2010, I'm going to show you on the charts over here on the left, but inflation wasn't near these levels back then. That's a total wild card. So that's not talked about enough, in my personal opinion, that this inflation level being as high as it is right now, 9.1%, it wasn't like that in the last recession. Last recession, the federal funds rate was raising and raising and raising, and then they caused a recession as they raised that federal funds rate. They didn't have nearly as much assets on hand like they do now at the Fed that they have to unwind somehow. That's the new term. It's unwinding all of these assets that they have on the balance sheet. So they didn't have that in 2008. That caused the 2009 crisis. They raised the rates even higher than it is right now. They actually raised it up to 5%. So let me just go over to the charts over here on the right, or left rather. So this is the dollar index. This shows all the way back. I mean, when's the last time the dollar index has been this high? The dollar's up at 107. By the way, everybody, did you know that the dollar index is nearly 60% euro? So what exactly is the basket? This basket it's being measured against. I started doing a little bit more research into the dollar index. So when you see these headlines of, oh, the euro's not doing so well, the dollar index is weighted by roughly 60%. I believe it's 58% euro. So interesting. What exactly is it being measured against? Just another tidbit there. But let's scroll back a little bit. The dollar index, the last time it was this high was in 2000, looks like 2002 was the last time it was this high. So clearly the dollar index has shown some major strength. What's interesting, and I've showed this in prior videos, is when you go to this specific time period, when you go to the 2009 crisis, you see the dollar rise right before the last recession. This is 2008 leading up to the 2009 recession. Then you see the dollar index plummet all the way from its highs of 90 down to its lows of 70, in the lower 70s, 72, from roughly 90 to 72, it dropped to. And in this period, when you had this spike in the dollar index, you saw silver and gold plummeting at the beginning of the recession, like we're seeing right now. And then you saw the dollar index crash down from 90 all the way down to 72 from 2009 to 2011. Now you pull up the silver chart from 2009 to 2011. What happened? Wow, would you look at that? Silver in the beginning of the recession plummets when the dollar index was going up, and then you see it just unleash and skyrocket to the upside to almost $50 an ounce in 2011. So that if that doesn't tell you what time period we're in my personal opinion, the time period that we're in right now is very clearly the beginning of a recession, where you see the dollar index artificially strengthening, and you see the price of silver going down, and then you get to this point where this is, so are we here? Are we here? Are we here? That's the question. Where in this down cycle of silver are we right now when we look at the chart, when we scoot this chart all the way to the right? I would argue that we're somewhere around here. But did it matter? That's the question to ask yourself. Did it matter if you picked the top here? If you bought in at 19 an ounce, if you bought in at 8.5 an ounce, it would be nice if you hit the bottom right there, right? So the key is that the person that was constantly stacking during this time period from the beginning of the recession, there was no way to time it out. How long is this recession going to be? How long is the dollar going to be artificially strong? This person that was stacking and accumulating during this time period obviously was heavily rewarded around here. And the funny thing is, back then, it wasn't nearly as bad. But something I wanted to bring up is, let me show you the historical inflation. So this is an inflation chart that basically averages the year over year inflation. So it averages out for the year. Something interesting that I have drawn a conclusion about, and again, I don't think too many people talk about this, is look at 2009 and 2008. Inflation was not even 1% in 2008. 0.09% average for the year in 2008. So pretty much no inflation back in 2008. And then in 2009, you have 2.72 inflation, which is pretty much where they want it to be. And then you have 1.50 inflation in 2010, all the way in 2011. So that whole time period, when you're looking at the silver spike here, when you saw silver skyrocket from $8 an ounce all the way up to $50 an ounce over a few years, that's over from, what's that, 6-7x return from its bottom to its high? When that happened, interestingly enough, which I think will add so much more gas to this fire, is that there wasn't even inflation back then. Silver and gold is an inflation hedge. It is a hedge against hyperinflation. Right now, we have inflation running red hot, not transitory. They don't even say that word anymore. We were laughing at them when they were saying it, but they're not even close to saying it anymore now. Now it's just, it's out of control, 9.1%. We'll somehow try to get it under control. That's what they say now. But it's crazy to think that back in that time period when you saw silver unleash from $8 all the way up to $50, that time period there wasn't inflation. It wasn't inflation like that. So that's a total wild card. What the difference is that back then you had, so let me scroll into this chart. So this is the federal funds effective rate. Back then we had a housing bubble. They were giving out, cheap loans on houses, and at the same time they're giving out these cheap loans. So in this time period from 2000 to 2008, all of these bad loans were being written. And when they started raising the federal funds rate and they made the interest rates go up and up and up for real estate, more people couldn't afford their houses anymore. And this is when Michael Burry and all those guys are going, look, if they keep raising this federal funds rate, they're going to cause a market crash. It's going to happen. It's happened time and time again. They're going to cause a major recession. This was a housing bubble. So they got it up to a bit over 5%. Keep in mind, they got it up to 5.2%, and they didn't even have inflation back then. They weren't even combating inflation during this time period. They were just raising it because. This little boop right here, seeing it go from, 0 to a little bit under 2, 1.58 is what we're at right now. This is them trying to combat inflation. This is them trying to combat, inflation getting out of control over 9%. That's what they're doing. Back then, they were just raising it because. And then the bad loans caught up to it, and they caused a major recession because when you raise the federal funds rate, a recession follows. It's this gray period right here. This is the 2009 recession. So it's pretty clear. But what's interesting, again, right here, this is them trying to fight runaway inflation by raising it to 1.58%. Back then, 5% caused the recession. And the difference is here was a housing bubble. Here is a currency bubble. The houses you bought a currency with the currency was in a bubble in 2008. Here we have the actual currency itself that is in a bubble. Like, that's a little scary. It's a little different in my personal opinion. But that was something that I had picked up on, and I just wanted to run it by you guys as well, because I want your input on it in the comment sections, because this is a total wild card that, again, not enough people are talking about, is that there wasn't really inflation in the last recession. It wasn't that bad. And this hasn't caught up to how bad it really is. Now it's up to over 9%. I mean, it's a very clear thing that's going on right there. And this is the report. We actually haven't gone over this on the channel yet, but here is the actual report, the June report for CPI, directly from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Up to the all items index increased 9.1% for the 12 months ending in June, the largest 12-month increase since the period ending November 1981. The largest 12-month increase since the period ending in November of 1981. Crazy. So, see, the other thing that's going on too is the reason why there's so much. So the dollar index has been rising, and I just went over the silver chart here, and now we've seen, it's just crazy to me how underpriced silver is right now. So we've seen this crash in silver here from, almost 30 an ounce. It almost got to 30 an ounce, and then now it's back down to 18.7. And again, the premiums are actually pretty low right now, which I don't know how long that's going to last. I'm just being honest here. I have no idea how long these premiums are going to stay where they're at, because it changes really, really fast. This market, although people think the silver market is so huge, it can change in a blink of an eye. As you know from the silver squeeze time, it changes really, really fast. So when opportunity's there, opportunity's knocking, and you can actually have real custody of your money right now. Put your own spin on that. But it's like, okay, so let's go to the dollar index. We're seeing the dollar index jumping up. Again, it hasn't been this high since all the way back into 2003. So we're seeing this artificial rise in the dollar index, and that is what's causing all of this. And again, the basket that the dollar index is. So when we go to the shadow stats, and you see, this is actually a point I wanted to bring up in regards to unemployment. Since we're already on here, shadow stats is I always like to give them a shout out because they do a really good job. I'm not sponsored by them. Nothing in this video. The only thing I'm sponsored by is my own company, Mineral Exchange. I own that company, so it's not technically a paid sponsorship. But I just like shouting out this website because they do such a good job. But this is the unemployment figures that they came out with. So the shadow stats is a blue line here, and they're saying the unemployment is roughly 25%, between 24 and 25%, and the official numbers comes in at under 5%. So that's how different the report is from shadow stats versus what they tell us in unemployment. I tend to lean more towards the shadow stats and think that they're more correct. Go to the inflation. So here's it's not even on the chart. They did this on purpose. The fact that it's off the chart now is pretty hilarious. This is the one I like to go towards. So if they were using the CPI data, the reason I wanted to go back to this chart here, because when you go to the consumer price index, and it says specifically in the report from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, it shows that it's up 9.1% for the 12 months ending in June, the largest 12-month increase since the period ending November 1981. Well, let's go to that shadow stats chart. November 1981. In November of 1981, which is right here, is when they were using a different basket of goods to measure the CPI. Isn't that interesting? So the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics likes to bring up, it's the largest 12-month increase since back here in 1981, but they use a different CPI. You see how it was perfectly correlated When they use this basket of goods, the good thing is Shadow Stats is actually using that same basket of goods to show you just how bad it is now. So it was a perfect correlation until they started messing with it around here. This is when they started messing with it, and then it started detaching if they were using the same basket of goods. So they like to say it's as bad as it was. It's the largest growth in 12 months since back in 1981. The truth is it's far worse. That's the truth, because if you use the same basket of goods, it went perfectly correlated for a while, but now they changed the basket of goods. They changed the goalposts. They pushed the goalposts farther back. They changed it. They widened it. That's what they did. It used to be a tighter goalpost. They widened it up, and they go, oh, it's 9.1%. Well, if they use the same basket of goods, this chart shows that it's well above 16%. It might actually be closer to 20% than it is closer to 15. I believe it probably is closer to 20% than it is to 15. So these are things that I'm just proud that I'm able to make these videos and put them on YouTube so more people can share it and get it out there to more people and share the real information here. But it does this time around, it's just wild to me that when you go back to the Shadow Stats chart, again, look at in the recession from 2007 to 2010, you saw the inflation go down. Even the Shadow Stats figure shows that it was actually around 5% at that time. But their official report shows inflation actually went negative and went to deflation. That's what they show on theirs. But Shadow Stats shows the true basket of goods here that I went to about 5% during the last recession. There wasn't inflation like this in the last recession, because the last recession was, again, a housing bubble. It wasn't a currency bubble itself. This time around, we have an actual currency bubble. So when you go back to the Shadow Stats thing here and you go to money supply, you can see just how much they changed the money supply. They again made the goalpost wider. It used to be a tighter goalpost. They made it wider, and now the money's out of control. This is the M1 all the way up here. Now, granted, they did start using the savings accounts as well, so it changed the data a little bit. But the actual injection of money is obviously right there, and you can see how much they have put into the economy with how much excessive money printing has happened. And now you have people like in California, you got Gavin Newsom. And you know me, I don't like to get political. I'm a libertarian. I don't believe in any of them. I believe in get off of my lawn. I believe in American principles. But the idea that they're trying to fight inflation right now with more inflation, it's like, yeah, we printed too much money, so let's print some more money to stop inflation. We'll help you, and by printing more money, that's how we'll help you. That's what we're going to do around here. That's their plan. That's what politicians do. They cause the problem, and then they add more to the problem to try to get through those next couple years and keep kicking the can down the road, but they've kicked it too far. There is no way out. So it's a crazy time right now, but I couldn't have more conviction in my trades. I couldn't have more conviction in silver and gold right now because it's just a matter of time. I really do think we'll see an exact unwind like we saw in the dollar. This is, again, I'll go over this chart again. It's very clear what happened to the dollar index leading up to the recession. You had a rise and rise and rise in the dollar index. And then right at the recession of 2009, you had the dollar index plummet down to 70, 72. And this is the time period when silver went from $8 to 50. When you saw that happen. So if we saw the opposite, if we saw the DXY, if we pulled it back, and right now at this time, the DXY was like down here, and we saw silver and gold down, now that would be depressing. But the fact that it has this much disconnect and the dollar index is higher than it's ever been, it's the highest it's been since 2002, 2003, that tells me that it's ripe for a major pullback. And when this dollar index pulls back, expect the unwind on silver to rocket. Now, I think silver's probably going to rocket a lot faster than gold. In my personal opinion, I think gold goes up. But the fact that the silver to gold ratio, this actually isn't even correct. I was doing the math earlier. It says the silver to gold ratio here is around 87, 88. It's actually over 90 right now. So all you have to do is get the gold price and divide it by the silver price. And I believe it comes back to about 91, roughly 91 on the silver to gold ratio. So I happen to think that silver is getting very, very tightly coiled. And when it finally unleashes, which will be the dollar index plummeting, that's when the coil is going to unleash, and I think it'll have way more upside than gold. Now, gold's still gold, but silver is just way too tightly bound right now. So that's just my personal take on it and what I'm looking at myself. I know it's hard. It's definitely, it starts to eat at you after a while when you know what should be happening. You can see it very clear, but we have some smoke and mirrors in front of us. And the smoke and mirrors right now is this artificial strength in the DXY, which really is the hot potato theory. So that's the situation is, let me go back. So the situation is, and I've talked about this in prior videos, it's kind of crazy to see it playing out like this. All the videos are posted. I know a lot of people have been subscribed on my channel, so I don't want to be the person being like, I told you so, because a lot of things have happened that I didn't think was going to happen. I didn't think silver was going to go under 20. It's kind of crazy to see that right now. But what I did think would happen is this hot potato theory that I have talked about on the channel a lot, which is basically people get scared before a recession. They start selling off things. Some people don't have as strong of hands and they start to sell their silver and gold. They start to sell their bars and they get rid of it. Same thing with their stocks and things like that, and they go into the dollar. Now, how do we know that? Well, we can basically, I just went off, but I'll go right back really quick. But we can see the velocity of M2, which is crazy because over time, people are getting more and more conservative about holding their dollars. And now this basically is the dollars under the mattress chart. When you see the velocity of M2, it's basically you're seeing how many people are wanting to sit on dollars and basically not use it in the economy. They want to throw it under their mattress. And so obviously a lot of people are continuing to hold their dollars. As it goes down, it means more and more people are holding their dollars. And you just see a clear pathway down all the way since the last recession. People just got more tight. They stopped spending as much money. And so because of that, you're seeing this go down further and further. And right at 2020, right at the beginning of everything, you saw that go plummet down, which basically shows you how much fear and uncertainty was happening right at the beginning of everything in 2020. And you're just going to see more of that because people are getting nervous for this recession that's coming that we're probably already in. And so it is very smart, and I've said this in the past, it's very smart to not put yourself in a position. Let me go back. I think it's very smart to not put yourself in a position where you need to sell your silver and gold to pay for a bill. I think that it's a really smart idea to have that cash there. And I would say that the best thing that you could possibly do, and this puts you in the top 25%, if you have, or the top like 5%, if you have 6 months saved up in cash right now to make sure that your bills are paid. So if you take out a pen and pad, and this is really, really good advice. If you don't do this, I'd take a notepad and write this down. Write down how much your rent is, how much your car payment is, how much, your average expenses are in groceries, gas, all these different things that calculate that out. And so maybe it comes out to 3,000, maybe it comes out to 4,000, maybe it comes out to 2,000. Find out where you can strip out some of the fat, try to cut down those prices. Like right now, I want to get a fancy Tesla. I'm not going to do it. Even though I want it, I could afford it. I'm not going to do it. I don't want that payment. I don't want to deal with it. I'm cutting out the fat, and I want to make sure that I just keep lowering my overhead. That's the key. And so lower the overhead, make sure, and then when you get to that final number, say you get to $3,000 a month, multiply that by 6, $18K. So if you really want to be in the top 5%, the people that are really prepared, you want to have around 20 grand in the bank. And if you don't have 20 grand in the bank, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're using that money on something where you're going to eventually be in the position where you have to sell that, maybe at a loss, maybe whatever you're at. That is really the key, is to have that 6 months, that 1 year cushion there. So if people want the actual answer, on how to protect yourself from this, that's what I would be doing. Making sure that you have 6 months to a year in cash sitting on the sidelines, because that is really the key. At the end of the day, precious metals right now is a way to have custody of your money. It's not just about, how much silver you got, how much gold you got. It's about how much custody do you have outside of the traditional finance. That's the key. People say they own stocks. Do they own stocks? Like I'd love to talk to Peter Schiff one day and be like, do you actually own your mining stocks? Or does TD Ameritrade own those mining stocks? Or does E-Trade own those mining stocks? Do you hope that they don't halt the stock market? If the stock market drops 13%, you're hoping that they don't halt all of that, period. None of the apps will work. None of the phone lines will answer because they'll halt the entire market. A lot of people don't think about that. Who has custody in that situation? Well, they can literally halt the entire market. So it comes down to like, how do you have custody outside of the traditional finance? And that's what I've been looking at myself is where is the custody? Well, right now, the custody for this 300 ounces of silver here on my desk is on my desk. I have custody of it. That's really the key. And so overall, right now, how am I preparing for this personally? Well, I want to make sure that I have, cash. I want to have powder dry. And I also don't want to ever have to sell at my positions at a loss if I'm not, if I didn't have the cash on the side, I'd put myself in a position where I would have to be selling at a loss. And I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that things are constantly cash flowing, and I want to make sure that I have cash on the side. And that really is the key. So that's the things that I'm looking at right now. Again, I would say that one of the biggest takeaways from this video, and I hope you take this from the video, is when we go back to the charts over here, is that inflation, again, it wasn't near the levels. So when you start, the M2 started unwinding back at the beginning of 2008, 2009, at the beginning of the recession, people started going, no, let's hold some cash. I want to put some cash under my mattress. Let's put more cash under the mattress, even more cash under the mattress, until we get to this level where it's that much people. And why is the DXY artificially rising? Well, a lot of people are choosing to sit on their cash. This money is going to start flooding out of the stock market, flooding out of all these things to go into cash. And then this is basically the hot potato theory. As more and more people hoard their cash, eventually this time around, the difference between 2008, the last recession, is that inflation is at crazy levels right now. Back in 2008, 2009, you didn't have the hot potato. People went into cash during this time period. When you look at the velocity, people went into cash during that time period. But the funny thing, and the difference between then and now, is that inflation wasn't red hot. And now you have people going into cash, but inflation is getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter up until the point where they might cause this crash. So that's going to be very interesting in what happens in the near future. So that to me is the key tell. It sounds so simple, but the fact of the matter is there wasn't a time where the potato was going to get red hot and burn their hand by sitting on too much cash. Now people are sitting on cash, and cash is going to be king maybe for 6 months to a year. And then that 9.1 gets to 10.1, 11.1. Really, when we pulled up the shadow stats, it shows that it's actually a lot even higher than that. But as that inflation continues to get hotter and hotter and hotter, eventually they're going to have to throw that cash somewhere. And where are they going to throw it? Are they going to throw it back in the stock market that just recently burned them? Where are they going to go with that cash? So that's the hot potato theory in a nutshell, is that people go into cash, they sit on cash, and when they're sitting on that hot potato for too long, it inevitably burns them, and then they go and throw it into silver and gold. So that's where I think it's going to happen in the very near future. And so right now we're just ahead of the curve, and it's hard I never thought in a million years it'd be under 20 an ounce with inflation at 9.1%, but here we are. There's so much rising in the dollar index right now that it just doesn't make sense that the dollar index will continue to climb. Now, if the dollar index does continue to climb, what does that tell us about the entire world right now? That's the scariest part. Right now, the dollar might be seen as king. And actually, another coin dealer told me this earlier today. I saw him talking about this, was we measure the price of gold and silver against the dollar, but other countries are measuring it to their currencies. And actually, gold and silver is up in a lot of other currencies that are not the dollar. So you see the artificial jump in the dollar, but we're not measuring it against the other currencies out there in the world. So actually, gold and silver is up in a lot of other currencies than the dollar. The dollar is king. So obviously, you're seeing this happen right now. But what's interesting to me is we haven't seen. It was falling for a bad chess trap to weaponize the SWIFT network. That's what I think is the problem. They should have never ever weaponized the SWIFT network and made it so that they kicked China and Russia off of the global payment system. Because they did that, it's almost like falling into their playbook. And what is their playbook? Well, now what's crazy, and what is really a reserve currency? You heard Powell say that there's room for another reserve currency out there, right? So Powell, let me go back. So Powell is basically out there, and he says that there's room for another reserve currency. And he says this, I think maybe 6 months to a year ago, which was a total change of tune that he said that. Well, what's happening? What is a reserve currency? Well, in a way, the reserve currency is what is a reserve currency? I guess not the reserve currency, but what is a reserve currency when a nation transacts with another nation for their commodities using said currency in the middle? And what are we seeing right now with Russia? We're seeing Russia saying we're only accepting rubles for our gas. Here's our commodity. We're only accepting ruble for it. That's what we want. We have no dollars on our balance sheet. We're only accepting ruble. Then you see China, who's made a deal with the Saudis to accept yuan. So if their currency is yuan and the Saudis are accepting yuan, the Chinese yuan, are they not acting as a reserve currency in that situation? Is that not a scary situation if you are the reserve currency of the world when you see other superpowers out there using their currency to transact nation to nation outside of your network? That is a very interesting thing happening right now. And that is why I think that this kind of artificial raise in the dollar index is only going to happen short term. It's like it's all coming to a point, and how much longer can we just have all of these baskets of nothingness measured against each other when some of them are actually starting to be forcing the other nations to transact in their said basket of nothingness, in their said currency of nothingness? It's kind of wild. And so we're going to start seeing more and more currencies basically starting to barter with each other, using their own currency, using commodities, using different things. The other beauty about gold, and I talk about this with Bitcoiners a lot as well. So Bitcoin's down a lot, just like gold's down a lot. Bitcoin a bit more. But what's interesting is there is no memory to gold. There is no ledger to gold. We have no idea how much gold is in other countries. I talked to a couple of my coin dealer friends about this, and they're just like, we have no idea how much gold's in Fort Knox. We have no idea how much gold's in China. We have no idea how much is on Russia. So we can Google as much as our heart, desires about how much gold is in these other countries. But at the end of the day, we have no idea. And so did Switzerland accept a bunch of gold from Russia? We don't know. We have no clue if they accepted it or not. And we have no idea of the amount. The auditing of it is impossible. So that is really the truth. And so measure your wealth in ounces, not in dollars, because that's basically a situation where you're in that system. They know exactly how much you're spending. And that's why they want to come out with the CBDC. That's why they want to do these things, because when they do that, you're documented on this ledger. And this is not a ledger like Bitcoin. The ledger like Bitcoin actually has a hard ceiling on it. You can't get past a certain amount. Their ledger documents every transaction, but at the same time, they can inject into that ledger. That is pretty much the situation that we're in right now. And it's unbelievable to see it happening in real time. But yeah, we'll get to some of the comments right now. I've been rambling a little bit. But it's gonna get interesting. It's gonna get pretty interesting in the near future. And really what it comes down to is like, it cracks me up because not enough people say the truth about economics. You got all these economics professors out there, all these Keynesians you'll see on YouTube talking about how they can get the price of inflation down, how they can do all these things. The way that you get the price of gas to go down is by pumping more gas. Period. You pump more gas. That's all so it's like, you want to get the price of goods to go down, you want to get inflation to go down, make more stuff. Make more stuff. Period. That's why you'll see Elon Musk coming out there. And you know what? You got to give props to Elon Musk. He's a wild card. There's a lot of things that piss me off about Elon Musk, that's for sure. But he's a total wild card when it comes down to being the electric car, the renewable energy guy, and he's gone on the record to say we need to be pumping more oil. Why? Because all of his cars are operating off of oil and coal. So if we stop pumping, it's going to get very expensive to charge his cars, because his cars at the end of the day are not really electric. They are electric, but those you have to charge it using coal and oil, and you can't just snap your fingers and change that overnight. And so as much as they want to make it, seem like that's possible, it's going to take a long time to go to renewable energy. I like solar panels. I like electric cars. But the thing is, I would rather be pumping oil right now, making money off of the oil, exporting it, making my country energy independent, and then at the same time using profits from that to build those solar panels. I like solar panels. There's nothing wrong with a solar panel. That's the thing that blows my mind, is that people are so short-sighted to think that, oh yeah, let's turn off our pipelines. Let's make it extremely hard to drill oil. And this is the way that it's sad, because I actually have... I know some people that are Democrats, and they're embarrassed. They're embarrassed. I'm a libertarian, so I get to stay away from both sides, the far right and the far left. But the funny thing is both of them are looking at it and going like, yeah, we really blew it on this one, guys. Like, this guy don't know his name, it's bad. And so it's time for you all to drop the prices of your oil because you're out of control. It's like, can you take a basic economics course? That would be great. That'd be great if you could do that over there, at the White House. That'd be fantastic if you could understand how economics works. I'm a waiter. I'm a college dropout turned waiter turned coin dealer. And so I'm no economics guru. I like to spread some common sense out there, or uncommon sense, but it blows my mind that there really isn't, a clear leadership of any way on how to get past this. And so you're seeing inflation get higher and higher and higher. And we went over the true CPI, the shadow stats earlier in this video, and it's showing that it's closer to 20% than it is to 15% if you use the actual true basket of goods. Now, if that happens, it's going to get very, very interesting. It's going to get interesting. Again, this time around, a currency bubble is a lot different than a housing bubble. It's a lot different than a housing bubble. And seeing inflation getting to the levels that it's at right now, it's getting pretty wild. It really is just a matter of time. And so the fact that inflation is as high as it is right now, and they're not even showing the true numbers. Again, it's probably closer to 20% than it is to 10%. They're saying it's closer to 10% than 20%. They're saying it's at 9%. It's probably closer to 20%. And if that's the case, which I believe it is so, well then when gold and silver finally unwind, it's going to be a lot more of a rocket ship than it was from 2009 to 2011. I have a feeling it's going to be a much, much different animal because of this inflation getting so out of control. And that is also, the inflation getting out of control is also what is going to force, and I do mean it when I say force, it's going to force the average person that's hoarding their money on the sidelines right now, it's going to force them to do something with it before that money gets burnt. Because you got to remember, when you have a stack of cash, it's losing 20% year over year, and it's going to start compounding. If inflation stays at these levels, it's going to be compounding in a way that you don't want it to go. You want compounding interest to be in your favor. You do not want compounding inflation to be eating at your cash pile and burning your cash on both ends to being less and less and less. And so that is really, people are going to feel the real effects of a 20% inflation rate and staying at that 20% inflation rate after about 6 months to a year. You're going to start seeing that. I think we'll see the M2 velocity start to do a little bit of a U retracement. Like right now, it's just been going straight down on the M2 velocity. And it's going to be interesting to see when this chart right here, let me go specifically to, it's just crazy how it's literally a straight line down. But you can see obviously in 2020 it went much faster, but it's basically bottoming out on the M2 velocity. I wouldn't be surprised to see this start to curve around and go back in this direction and start seeing people start throwing their dollars from that are on the sideline into assets. And what are going to be the options? The stock market is sitting at just a ridiculous lofty level. Let's look at the stock market real quick. We'll look at the S&P. So we go to the S&P. I mean, people say that this is a big pullback, and it is a big pullback from its highs. But the truth is, I mean, when this all started, before all this money printing, the top right in February of 2020, March 2020, was 3,300 on the S&P, and you're still at 3,800, 38.7. I mean, it seems to me like they could easily plummet back down to these figures. And where's all of this is fresh printed money that got flooded into the stock market artificially. And when this money is getting taken out, right here, when you see the stock market going down and you see the dollar index going up, and you're seeing the M2 going down like that, that is just showing that there are people selling out of their stocks and sitting on the sidelines with cash right now. Are they going to put it in the housing market? Mortgages are more expensive now because the rates are more expensive. If they keep raising the federal funds rate, it's going to be more and more expensive to buy a house, to get a mortgage. So are they going to put it into real estate? I highly doubt it. What are they going to do with all this fresh cash that is getting burned out of the system? Something to ask yourself. Where is this money going to go? And so to me, I think that it's the perfect time to be in gold and silver because this money does have to go somewhere. And I would imagine that it's going to go into gold and silver. So I'm pretty proud to be in the precious metals industry. I'm pretty proud to be working on the things that I'm working on, because I think it's just a matter of time before this industry really does blow up. And it's going to be a matter of time before more people have to realize, like, hey, the dollar isn't going to protect me. I can sit on dollars. If you sit in the dollar and you see this artificial jump in the dollar, eventually they're going to get burned by these inflation levels. That is pretty much what I'm looking at right now. So is cash king? Yeah, for a little bit. But I think it's just a matter of time before this changes. All right. Let me get to some of these comments here. I saw a super chat. VT247 in the house. I never miss the super chats. I ramble a bit in these live streams because I get pretty heated about this because I got a lot of money in the line in precious metals. I might be a precious metals dealer, but I put my money where my mouth is. I think you guys know that. And so when I see the metals price going down and not going where I expect it to be going, it hurts. I don't like it. I feel it as well. So I get a little heated in these rants, but I never miss those super chats. I appreciate you doing that. VT247's been here since the very beginning. He says, tell Boss Toad we say hello. I'm sure he heard you in the other room over there. He's been kind of not feeling it lately. He's a little bit bummed out. I've been selling, some stuff that he wants to keep. The problem is we're taking in all these fresh consignments with launching the auction house. Hang on, let me go back. Let me drink a little bit of water here for a sec. So we've been, as you all know, with Mineral Exchange. So I own mineralexchange.com if you want to check out my auction house. But I specialize, and I can show you some of the items ending every Sunday. We have a lot of crazy. Matter of fact, this gold bar, if you know your rare gold and silver, this is actually an Inglehard London bar, a Swiss bank. Talk about taking money from the banks. This is an actual Swiss bank Inglehard London gold bar right here. And it's being auctioned at no reserve on my website, mineralexchange.com. Pretty crazy item to be auctioning with no reserve. Not going to lie. Started at $1. I think right now it's a little bit under $7K right now. It's almost a 4-ounce gold bar, but a vintage Swiss bank. Hang on, let me... Now, if that doesn't teach you about vintage gold and silver, I don't know what will, but that stamp in the bottom left corner right there is the Inglehard London stamp. And it's a Swiss bank 10 tola, which is 3.75 troy ounces. That's being auctioned no reserve on the website right now. So I specialize more in kind of the unique pieces like that. A Swiss bank gold bar. You don't see that every day. Swiss bank Inglehard vintage gold bar, obviously not in production anymore. Crazy, crazy piece of gold right there. But that's my specialty, is kind of the cool, unique stuff. Over here, I actually have the stuff that I'm auctioning that's ending on Sunday. Maybe I could show you guys some of that stuff towards the end of this video. I want to go through the comment section a little bit. Probably would be easier actually to show you on my screen. Let me see here. Oh, I see Zilla in the house. Zilla knows this stuff as well. Zilla, you have that you know what piece that some people have been asking me about? Zilla, is that MTB bank. I think we won't talk about it. I know you like to keep your secrecy, but you got that MTB Inglehard. Some people have been asking me about that bar, and I think you did well on that one because a lot of people want one of those. But yeah, it's the vintage gold and silver game is mixing collectibles into bullion. And so it's a very interesting game. But what's cool about the auction house is there's a history section so people can see what stuff's selling for. So now what's so interesting is there's all these hunters now around the country that it's like treasure hunting, looking for the rare stuff. So like this bar, some people that you might be treasure hunting in a pawn shop that bought it off of somebody and, paid them under spot or something for it. And they're looking to sell it for slightly over spot. And they don't know that this is an extremely rare bar. And so this is actually an opportunity for everybody that goes to their local coin shops, that goes to all these places around the country. Look for that vintage gold and silver and consign it to Mineral Exchange. We only take a 10% buyer's fee. It's no cost to consign. So people are actually starting to do this right now, where I'm getting some people like this guy, a person sent in this Foster's Eagle's Nest set. He scored this Foster's Eagle's Nest set. They're made back in 1969. It's actually over here. Hang on. I love stuff like this. So this guy, he finds this Foster's Eagle's Nest set. There's way better pictures on the website, but I'll try to show you guys. It's an old school set from 1969 with the original packaging. You can see the silver eagle's nest. Original packaging. You can tell how old it is by just looking at it, but all toned out Foster's Eagle's Nest set from 1969. Found this. I forget where he told me he found this, but it's being auctioned on the website right now. He just consigned it. I think that he was expecting around like 900. I think right now it's a little bit over 1,000 on the website right now, ending on Sunday. So this is a cool set. I wish you could see the actual like toning on it, but crazy. B-Dog, there's no affiliation with that. There's no affiliation. It's just Eagles. That's like saying like the Eagles back when they're making our coinage in the U.S. It's not related to that at all, but crazy set. Hard to show on camera here, but that's something that somebody consigned. They found this. They're making hundreds of dollars on it. So there's money to be found. If people want to figure out how to stack some more, if you want to stack regular weight, you can look around for the rare stuff, flip the rare stuff. And I mean, it's just hard to, personally, if this was my set, it'd be hard to let go. And this is why, boss, the reason I brought this up is because VT is in the house and said, he said he's to talk to Boss Toad. Boss Toad, he's got a personality. The Boss Toad is out there. And honestly, he's a little pissed off that this isn't staying in the safe. If you show this kind of stuff like this to the Boss Toad looks at that. It's like, Rob, what are you doing right now? This consignment stuff, this consignment crap, making 10%. You should be buying this and throwing this in the safe and making the juicy profits like we used to, Rob. But now we're services based at Mineral Exchange now. Now we're changing the business model. The dynamic has changed. But man, is that a cool set. That is a cool set. So if I don't want to let it go, obviously Toad ain't too happy with me. If you follow me on Instagram, some people are like, what are you talking about? I've not even subscribed to this guy. What is he talking about? A toad? It's like, no. If you follow me on Instagram, Rob Soltan on Instagram, you'll know what I'm talking about. He's not happy about letting stuff like this go. Letting go a Swiss bank, Engelhard, all this stuff. But for people that haven't seen before, let me show you. And by the way, I see some super chats. I will get to every super chat. Every super chat, I will not miss you. I ramble a little bit, but I do not miss the super chats. I appreciate that. Let me see here. I do want to show you guys something I've been working on. Where did I put that? One second here. I actually just rolled out something very cool on the website, so I wanted to show you guys. But let me go back. So this is a lot of people, for the past, I started YouTube about 2 years ago. It's crazy. Well, yeah, almost exactly 2 years ago. I started it in beginning of July in 2020. So yeah, almost exactly 2 years, just exactly like, I think 5 days over 2 years is when I started the YouTube. And I was always talking about, I'm building something, I'm building my website, I'm getting things going. And this is what I built. I built my own auction house. So this is mineralexchange.com. It's my auction house. If you're not registered to bid over there, head on over and check it out, mineralexchange.com. What's cool is even if you don't want to bid, even if you don't want to register, it costs $1. It's not to make any profit, the $1. I'm giving back way more money on the giveaways than the $1. It really isn't a profit. It's just to verify that you're an authentic bidder. A lot of auction houses, they don't verify their bidders and just anybody can bid. But with the $1, you can at least connect your PayPal or connect your credit card or debit card so I know that it's the actual person and it's the legitimate bidders. I like to make sure that my community has integrity there and it's not just anybody that can bid on there. So if you want to bid, it's just you pay $1 one time and then you're registered to bid and then you can bid on all this stuff. But you can sort through, this is the sort page. So you can go high to low. And this is actually the gold bar right here. Let me show you. So here's the Engelhard London. I just showed you that. It's probably, it's a lot better to see on this screen than it is, to see here because the picture is way better. But this is that bar that I was just showing you earlier. It's currently at 6,800 with 35 bids. It's got a day, a little bit under 2 days left on the auction. But if you want to bid, you just click verify account right there, sends you over to pay that $1, and then you're verified forever. And by the way, if you've been on eBay Anybody else be on eBay recently and you try to snipe something at the last second and then it tells you to verify your transaction? Like at the last second, it tells you to verify your transaction. That is the most annoying thing ever to me, is when you get told to verify your transaction right before the end of the bid and you miss out on an item like that you've been waiting for forever. So by verifying in this way and just paying the $1, it verifies them forever, verifies your account forever, and then you never have to deal with that again, and you're completely open to bid on everything forever. In your account, you'll never have to verify like eBay does that to you, where people miss out on their items. Crazy that they do that. But what's cool about the website is I actually have an auction history. So now all of these people that are collecting around the country trying to find stuff, this is a 1 ounce silver bar right here. This is a Foster 1 ounce, just sold for $125. And that's because it's a rare bar from 1969. And so you might find this in a local coin shop. You might find this in a junk bin somewhere. You might find it in a pawn shop, and they don't know how rare it is. And this is literally, when you see Gary Vee going garage sale to garage sale trying to find something, this is the modern day silver and gold rush, is finding this rare stuff and being able to flip it for a profit. And now I'm opening up Mineral Exchange to my entire audience. So it's not just about me making money. This is all consignment, where basically people are going to be able to make some real money finding these rare bars in public. Here's a Montana 1 ounce here. That bar just sold for $350. And this is all of this. There's a 10% buyer's premium. That's the cut for Mineral Exchange, my company, that's charged to the invoice. So all auctions start at $1 with no reserve. So I made it fair. So the consignor doesn't get charged anything. So if you consign this gold bar, you're charged nothing. You're charged zero. Nothing to the consignor. But I tell the consignors, if you're getting charged nothing, other auction houses charge you 10% up front. We charge you nothing. If we're doing that for you, you got to put it in the bidder's ball court and put no reserve on your auction. So that's the trade-off. The consignor doesn't have to pay anything, but they got to start their item at $1 with no reserve. So it's a pretty cool trade-off. So people can take into account, like, hey, there's a 10% here. I want to bid $400 on this. I know there's a 10%, so I'm going to bid $350, $360, and you take that into consideration before putting that bid in. So it basically puts the ball in both people's court. So that's basically the business model and what I've been working on all this time. These are all, people can go through the auction history and see what stuff sells for on Mineral Exchange and basically get a rundown for what is rare and what is not rare when it comes to bullion. But there's also some regular stuff on the website as well. And I've been sprinkling in, I actually just rolled out this new quick bid page, which is really cool. So people can see a lot more items right up front like that. And then this account, obviously, there's no login here, but when you do log in, it'll give you the bid feature right here when you make an account, and you'll be able to bid directly from this page and keep track of all the auctions. But like right here, we have the Delta Refining 100 ouncer here. So if you go to this one is currently at $22.50. It's a slightly better bar, but you can see that the premium's not exactly on the same level as some of these really rare bars. But if we go back to all active auctions, let me show you some other stuff that we got. We got this 50 ounce here is at $1,050. Then we have another 100 ounce. Ironically, both of these 100 ounces on the website. Hang on. Does this look familiar? Hang on. Here's that bar. Boom. And then everything that's on the site is verified in-house at Mineral Exchange. So this is actually going at a really fair price right now. It's currently at $2,000 for a 100 ounce silver bar, vintage Canadian silver refiner's bar. Currently at $2,000. So there's going to be some just regular generic bullion mixed into the equation as well. And some cooler kind of smaller pieces as well. So if we go back to here's that Foster's net. Now, this is something I want to show you guys this because the Foster set is crazy, actually. Like, so let me show you the close-up. So this is the Foster set right here. I got it in my hand, but check this out. Look at this. Such a cool, like, it's so undervalued for what it is. Like, there's people that'll pay for, like, old Morgan silver dollars in the numismatics game. They pay a lot of money for rare stuff. And this thing reminds me of one of the gold, like, the old gold slugs that people pay like tens of thousands of dollars for. But it's a silver version of it from 1969. Old school Herkimer version. But it is a crazy, crazy set. And just beautiful toning on these things, and the eagles and the definition on it. They just don't make the stuff. It's crazy because modern mints just don't make it like they used to. Back then in the 60s and the 70s, this is dropping off the gold standard. This is 2 years prior to dropping off the gold standard. They were sending out these nests to individual households in the 60s, And so to see a full set all completely still original like that, pretty dang. If you're not even from the vintage bullion world, this is a cool set to have. You cannot deny an original set from 1969. The 5 ounce, the 10 ounce, the 2.5, then it has all these smaller ones. The 1 ounce, I believe this is and look at the eagles on this thing. Such a cool set. So as you can tell, my toad, my boss over here, is not very happy that, this isn't staying. This is auctioned, So all this stuff, I want to keep it all, but it's all consignments being auctioned. So that's just a shout out to this one, because that is a cool set. That is a super, super cool set to be all original like that. But again, everything that you see on the website is on hand. Everything on the website ships it. Vacation time, clean it. Do not clean it. Do not clean this stuff. If you find this stuff in the wild, do not clean it. I think the bid just changed as we're in this auction. I think the bid just changed a little bit. It went to 12.12. So somebody saw this. I think it just literally as we're in the middle of this. And oh yeah, by the way, you can click here and see the bid history. So I think someone literally just bid 9:25. What time is it right now? Yeah, someone literally just bid as we're in this live. So whoever's in this live stream and bid on the set, I appreciate it. Someone literally just bid as we're live right now. That just goes to show you the auctions are live. They're happening in real time. And you can bid 24/7. What's cool is you can actually, so this is what the feature, if you're bidding, it'll say you right here, and it'll show you your bids. And if you make an account, right now, I'm not logged into any account right now, but if you log in and you click here and you log in, you'll actually be able to see like a whole like my eBay type thing for mineral exchange. So you get your whole back end, all the items that you're bidding on, things that you lost, things that you won. This was a lot of work, guys. Building a miniature eBay with a verification hub on it and having all of the different parameters around this was a lot of work. This was not easy. So when I was saying, hey, I'm building something, guys, I put a lot of money into domains, owning mineralx.com, mineralexchange.com, extremely expensive .coms. They're not, your .co. When someone gets the .co or the a different extension, .net, .org, it's not a .com. To have mineralexchange.com, very expensive. To build an auction site, very hard, very expensive. But the other thing too is teaching yourself how to code, how to upload, how to use a website, how to do the photography, all these different things. So much work that went into this. So anybody that supports me on this, I really, really appreciate you being part of it. Mineralexchange.com. It's free to register, free to make an account. If you go to mineralexchange.com, and then for free, you get the auction history where you can actually see what stuff sold for. If you're just interested to learn about rare bullion and you're interested to learn about what the price of things are going for in a free market on things that have no reserve starting at $1. Now, some of this stuff is not going to tell you what the value of silver is at the time. It's going to be more collectibles. But when you see some regular bars, like this is like, it's a vintage bar, but it's somewhat just regular. And so you might see this bar go for, right now it's at 2,000. It might go for 21, 22, 23. But whatever it ends up at, now that's just more of your run-of-the-mill 100 ounce. So that gives you kind of a rough valuation of what premiums are on silver. And as this website continues to ramp up, next week I think we might be doing around 50 items next week. So this week it's pretty mellow. It's only about 16 items. But I mean, we got Swiss bank kilos. I mean, look at this. There's a person over in London that might be watching this video. I'm sorry I can't ship to the UK. The UK is not very nice. It's funny. You want to know something very funny? So I have a person that wants to bid from the UK. They go off of the pound sterling over there, I believe, right? They consider their money like a pound sterling, right? So you literally base your money off of silver, but they charge a 20% VAT, or not a VAT, a 20% VAT fee for silver. 20%. That's what they're charging. Their money is made after silver, is named after silver, but they charge a 20% VAT charge. And then they make a business has to have the VAT resale certificate to even sell into their country. So it's like to do international logistics. Right now, the next countries that Mineral Exchange is going to be supporting is going to be in this order. Canada. We're just opening up to Canada actually next week. So Canada, then it's going to be Australia. And then after that, I'm thinking about how to get over to a couple different countries. But the top two right now that we're getting into is going to be for sure Canada and for sure Australia, because they have fair rates in Canada and Australia where they actually allow trade in bullion. So unfortunately, there's some places we just can't go. So to my friend that's out in the UK, Figure out how to have some sort of forwarding company. You have to have somebody in the US that you ship to and forward it or something along those lines. But I can't ship to the UK. I can't do it. I don't want to deal with their stuff over there. But it's just unbelievable that they charge 20%. Can you imagine? 20%. You're down 20% just to invest in silver. Luckily, in California, there's the 1,500 exemption. So if you buy something that's over 1,500, you're exempt from taxes. And this is actually, if people are looking to be involved in silver and gold, this is some really good stuff to know. Certain states allow you to be exempt from taxes. California, just for the regular individual, if you're buying over 1,500, you're tax exempt. So that is a very key thing to do. If you've been wondering why you're paying taxes, you might be in California, you might be in Florida, you might be in different states. Florida is very lenient, Texas is very lenient, Nevada is very lenient, California is very lenient. There's states that are very lenient on gold and silver. And so in the US, we do have that bit of a blessing that a lot of these states are tax exempt on gold and silver. But UK, not very friendly at all. Australia, friendly. Canada, friendly. A lot of the US, very friendly. But that is just crazy to lose 20% off the top. I couldn't believe that. And so I talked to my coin dealer buddies and they said, just don't deal with the UK. Don't do anything over there. Trust me, Rob. And I'm like, all right, Mineral Exchange doesn't ship to the UK. And so I apologize, guys. You got some bad leaders over there or something. That's just totally wrong that they do that. But it's not only the 20%, it's that they make the dealers have a certain type of resale certificate to even sell there. So it's like, I don't even really want to sell to you guys because you rip off your citizens. But B, you make me jump through hurdles to even do that. So like Royal Mint, you guys can stay over there. We're not interested in you at all. So sorry, but it's a pretty cool, I can understand why they're bummed because you don't see these Swiss banks pop up very often. But let me go back. We have this Swiss bank. We got another Engelhard vintage 20 ounce. This thing is crazy. The half, where is that on the tray over here? Hang on. So literally everything that you see on the website is sitting right in front of me. This is the half kilo Swiss bank. Such a cool, but you notice the other thing to look for when you're out there looking for vintage in the shops and stuff. So I'm literally probably gonna unleash a whole bunch of people that are hustlers just like me going into all these shops. So all the pawn shops, all the coin dealers around the country, I apologize that I've done this to you, but we're about to have a flood of treasure hunters out there looking for this stuff, scavenging around the country and finding it, sending it in and making a bunch of money off of it. So I've done it. I've unleashed the vintage bullion world. I'm sorry that I've done this, but it is what it is. But what's something to look out for when you're looking for vintage bullion? I'm giving away some big secrets here. This is kind of painful because this is knowledge that helped me, accumulate some rare stuff. But if you look for the 999.0, the purity level on the older bars pre-1970s, like pre-80s, pre-70s, will often not be 999.9. You'll see 999.0 on the older bars. You'll see either 999 without the O, but if you see 999.0, it's usually a vintage bar and it's something to look out for. So trying to give people some heads up what to look out for, and share the website. I wish you could see, well, obviously people on here are going to be making some accounts, but when you make an account and you verify your account to bid and you pay that $1, again, the $1 is not the profit. The $1 is literally, and it also puts you in drawings that I'm probably going to be giving away like upwards of 10x, even more than that, of what the dollar is. So if I get $1,001, I'm going to probably give away like 5-10 grand of stuff to the list of people that are verified on the website. So if you want to just verify, it's $1. What's one time, then you can see the back end. You can see it's like, I should call it My Mineral Exchange. So instead of My eBay, call it My Mineral Exchange so people can see the back end and all of that. But when you pay the $1, you get the back end so you can see all the auctions you've participated in, all the active ones, the ones you've lost, the ones you've won. Anyway, this is the website and you can bid from this page right here, which is super cool. This was a lot of work. Oh yeah, so this is, if you want something that's a little bit more mellow, check this out. Now this is a really cool, like normal price. It's 10 ounces of silver. These are vintage from the actual U.S. Assay Office of San Francisco from 1981, all toned out. And if you click on it, it's much better. It's good on the iPhone, but it's a lot better from the desktop because you can like zoom in and actually see everything. But check out the definition on the Eagle. They just don't make, for some reason, they don't make cool coins anymore. Like the vintage stuff is just so much cooler to me. But this is for a lot of 10 of these. So that's the one that's in the picture in the middle right there. But it's for all 10 of them. and I have all 3 separate varieties being auctioned right now. There's 3 separate varieties. There's kind of the more aggressive. This is my favorite one, kind of a cool aggressive eagle. But then you go back. Then you got this one that has the open beak example, and then you have this one with the closed beak. So I have all 3 varieties on the site. Anyway, you get the gist of it. I'm really proud of this, so I wanted to give it a quick shout out in this live stream. But that's what I built. That's what I've been working on. That's mineralexchange.com. Make an account would really, and honestly, if my videos drive any value to you, if you've had some value from my videos, if you haven't, I understand not making an account. But if you make you can make it totally a free to register account. If you go to Mineral Exchange, it's like, this is what you'll see when you first come to it. You'll see mineralexchange.com, click enter site, and you click register right here. And you just register an account. It'll send you an email to verify. Make sure you check the spam folder. I made sure to put a note of that. Check your spam folder. Authenticate your account that it's your email, and then boom, you're in. That's simple. Make the first name, last name, email, password, phone number. Make an account. You get an email sent to you. Verify that email. You're in. You get to see all the auction history for free. You get to see all the current auctions for free. There's no charge on that. If you want to bid, it's just $1, and then you've gotten the value that you can participate in these auctions. So I swear, I don't know about you guys, but let me go back. But again, mineralexchange.com. Please register an account. Please help me grow this thing, because I'm really excited to have an auction house and to be able to. There's so many, bullion dealers, and I've been a bullion dealer for so long that I want to finally be in the services space where I don't have to constantly be the person buying this bar to flip this bar, buying the bullion to flip it. I want to open up my business and be able to help everybody make my thinner margin and just be able to be more of a services-based company. And now I can offer myself as an exchange. So say you're buying this set off of eBay. You have no idea if this set's been tested. A lot of fake stuff's on eBay, a lot of fake stuff on Amazon, a lot of fake stuff online. Every single item that comes through Mineral Exchange has been individually tested by an XRF machine. So if you look up what an XRF machine, I have the Niton XRF machine. It's literally like an $18,000 machine that does an X-ray right through the silver. So every single bar, every single piece of gold, piece of silver that comes into Mineral Exchange, that's what, luckily I haven't had any consignments where it's a fake, but it's going to be dreadful when I get some consignments in and I got to tell them it's fake. I can't auction this. I'm sorry. But just know, as a buyer, every single person that bids on my auction site, this is a verification hub. It's not just a consignment house, not just an auction house. Everything gets verified and then dispersed. So it's a place where people can buy and sell, and it's open to everybody. We're accepting consignments from everybody. Right now, we're only in the U.S. Like I said, next week, we're starting in Canada. We've already done our first few shipments to Canada, testing out the waters. So Canada, my friends up north, we're going to be open to you. Mineral Exchange will be open to you in Canada. Australia is next. And then after that, I got to work out the logistics. Again, people in the UK, I'm sorry. I blame the Queen. Did I say that out loud? Am I allowed to say that out loud? I'm sorry. Hang on. You know what? I missed the super chat. Hang on, let me go up. I see Yankee's in the house. What's up, Yankee? How are you, man? Let me scroll up here. I never miss a super chat. I see a few super chats. I want to make sure. I've seen that, like when I'm watching some live streams, I've seen people like pass over their super chats. I never will pass over your super chat. Give me a second. If you've given me a super chat, I will always get to your super chats. I really appreciate you doing that. Yankee Stacking says, first time on your live stream, Rob. You're doing quite well with a good mix of macro and bling. Keep up the good job. I appreciate that, Yankee. Thank you so much for the super chat, man. I appreciate you stopping by. Let me go. There's one other one, I believe. Let me scroll up a little bit. It was VT247. VT247 has been here since the very beginning. Shout out to VT247. People, subscribe to VT247. Vacation Time 247. Really, really good dude, and has been there since the very beginning. Really has been, you've given me a lot of confidence to keep doing the YouTube, man. Like since before I even had like 1,000 subscribers, when I was in like the hundreds of subscribers, VT247 was there. So I appreciate you, man. So double shout out to VT, and appreciate that, Yankee. Thank you, man. Go down. Adam J says, nice to see Yankee in the chat. Yankees got some friends in here. It says, hi, Rob. Reached my 4-ounce gold goal today while in college at 19. Adam J at 19 years old. Keep your $5, Adam. You don't got to give me your $5. Come on, man. You don't got to do that. I appreciate it though, you know? But what I would give you, God, if I could be 19 again, Adam, you're in the live stream right now. I'm sure of it. And the fact that you're 19 and you know, and you're getting the wisdom that you're getting right now while you're in college. Now, I'm not going to be like your parents. I'm going to tell you a secret that nobody else will tell you most adults won't tell you in this world. College is worthless. It's a terrible thing. Don't put yourself in debt. Don't let the degree hold you down. Be an entrepreneur. If you've stacked 4 ounces of gold, got the entrepreneur bug, man. If you've got 4 ounces of gold at 19 years old in college and you're busy stacking while you're in college, I'm going to tell you some real, that's some cold stuff. Oh man, that feels good to say that, because it's like, if I could go back, God, if I could go back. I remember when I was 19 years old, I was in this small community college and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And I remember the programming exiting the matrix. And I genuinely remember when I finally decided to drop out, and what made me drop out was that I was making so much money as a waiter that when I calculated how much I would make with a business degree, I was already making more than that as just a regular waiter. So being a waiter or a bartender when you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, all the way to 25, 30, you can save a lot of money that way and make real money where you're making, over 50 grand a year just as a bartender or a waiter. Even barbacks sometimes make that kind of money. And that gave me the push to finally go, you know what? I'm out of college, because college made me feel like I felt so out of my place. I had no passion there. I was reading a textbook from 1988 on economics in like 2015 or something. And I'm going, what in the world am I doing with my life? Why am I reading a textbook from 1988 that they forced me to buy for $300 when there's a YouTube out there that exists with a wealth of free information? What am I doing? What is the point of this? And then I started making so much money as a waiter that I was like, you know what? I'm out. And you want to know something funny? If I never went all in on that waiter job, I would have never met the rare coin dealers that came into that job. And I would have never founded Mineral Exchange. I would have never been talking on this live stream. None of this would have existed if I didn't drop out and I didn't be a waiter full time. None of this would exist. So it's crazy how the serendipities of life play out. But that's a scary thing to say to a 19-year-old though. But thank you for the $5. I really appreciate the super chat. Really means a lot. And the fact that you're out here looking for this knowledge while you're in college tells me everything I need to know. Sharp dude, Adam J in the house, stacked 4 ounces of gold at 19 years old. Pretty rad, man. Pretty rad. But that's how I feel about it. I mean, and I built when I was hanging out with those rare coin dealers, the thing that was kind of a cheat code is that when I got brought in, one day I'll share like the whole story, because it's a pretty wild story about how I got involved into bullion and coins and everything. But I always thought to myself, I'm like, why are you using other auction houses? And why are you using eBay? And why are you going to these coin shows? You got to fly out. You have all of your inventory with you. Like, that's super sketchy. You're not where your weapons are or anything. You're away from the home fort, and you're hoping that somebody walks by your booth at a convention. And I remember thinking to myself, this is going to social media. If it's not already at social media, sales in bullion and rare coins, it's all going to social media. And before I knew it, Instagram blew up. Just blew up with people selling on social media. And that's when I founded Mineral Exchange and started building everything that I built. And I built it from the ground up with I was negative money at one point, driving in the back of my car, living in the back of my car, going state to state to state, finding this rare stuff in different coin shops. So it hypes me up to tell the world, like, hey, you can make a lot of money going to garage sales and going to coin shops and going to pawn shops and sourcing stuff that they didn't do as much research as you did on it. And so now it's funny because I've gone full circle from studying the auction histories on eBay and all these different things to learn that these are rare at different places. Now I'm giving that information away for free and showing what stuff goes for in a free market and actually creating that marketplace that I wish existed back when I started. But all of this Mineral Exchange, the auction houses, this YouTube, everything was all started from, less than 5,000 to my name. So less money. Ironically, Adam, at 19 years old, you got roughly 7 to 8 G's in gold, which will probably be worth a lot more. You had, at 19 years old, you have more of a starting egg than I had at 25. At 23 to 24, you have more money right now than I did when I started Mineral Exchange. There's a lot of luck, a lot of serendipity that happened, a lot of flipping that happened. But that's crazy to think about. Just know that college doesn't define you. What you do with your days define you. What you do with your 24 hours every day, that's what defines you. And don't give your 24 hours. Don't ever sell your 24 hours short. That's something I wish I told the younger version of me. Never, if you're sitting there and you're bored in class and you don't know why you're there, remember that you're selling your 24 hours short. Never sell your 24 hours short. You only got 24 hours in a day. We all got 24 hours in the day. A lot of people might think I'm slacking, when I wasn't making videos for a long time, and still I'm not on I should be doing 3-4 videos a week, but I've been building, taking in a lot of consignments, building the auction house, all these different things. I'll often work, 18, 20 hours a day, get very little to no sleep because I'm so passionate about the things I'm doing. So if a person's working a 9 to 5, they're never going to catch me. They're never going to catch up to me. It's not a chance. So a lot of people, that really is the cheat code, is if you're doing 18-hour days and you have 24/7 of your time. It wasn't until I took all my time back that all of a sudden I was in the position to find the rare stuff. I was in the position to make the calls to the other dealers and be able to leverage myself and all these different things. One of these days, as the website gets bigger and everything grows, I'll share more of my flipping stories of how I've turned. I would say the craziest flip I ever had was leveraging myself. Well, there's one actually crazier than that, but that was actually when I was more kind of matured as a trader. But I have in the past, I have leveraged myself zero, put no money on the line, and leveraged myself into making over $50,000 in less than 2 weeks in the past by just knowing how to leverage myself and knowing how to flip, knowing how the game worked. I want to share some of these stories in the future about just how crazy it can be in the entrepreneur's world, especially in collectibles. But I've gone from zero to literally making 50 grand in less than 2 weeks by leveraging and getting a committed deal and then moving one item from here to there and then doing it again and then doing it again, and just literally have made that kind of money appear from thin air. So Adam J, I don't know why I'm saying all this. It probably comes across a little arrogant, like I'm a know-it-all or something. I'm not a guru. But all I know is I wish I knew that information when I was 19. So if I don't let that out, it'll hurt me. So that's like me sharing something that I wish I knew at 19. I wish I could see that 10-minute rant back when I was 18, 19 years old. Because I remember when I finally dropped out, for those next 2-3 years, I felt like there was I was exiting the matrix. And I could feel like I was getting left behind, or like, oh, my friends are all partying at these cool schools and they're with girls and they're doing that. And they're just, so I realized, well, wait a minute. Now they're asking me for a job. Now they're asking me what I do for a business. They're trying to learn about different things that I'm doing. But back then they were so cool. They were so cool, with these fancy colleges and these fancy things that they're doing, their fraternity, the sorority. Now they're 100 grand in debt, 200 grand in debt. They didn't understand the difference between secured and unsecured debt. I took the hard knocks course on that. I learned what a secured and unsecured debt is by literally using credit cards and understanding how to leverage myself and all these different things. They don't teach that stuff. They don't teach how to build an LLC. What's the difference between an S corp, a C corp, all these different things. They don't teach you how to shelter money, how to buy a property with an LLC. All these different things that I'm learning even now. They don't teach any of that stuff. All the stuff that matters, they don't teach it. They want to teach you what the cell of a mitochondria is, or whatever. Like where's the powerhouse of a mitochondria? It's like I still can't remember the last time that I used that, guys. Like I don't remember like the last time that I needed to know. And also like the stuff on the founding fathers, the stuff on the Civil War, it's not the true information. Like there's a lot of information that's left out there. They don't teach you that we're in a constitutional republic. They'll tell you it's a democracy in college. It ain't a democracy. It's a constitutional republic. The only thing democratic about the United States is to elect leaders to uphold the constitutional republic. But they won't tell you that in college. There's nothing democratic other than electing leaders to uphold the Constitution that is a constitutional republic. That's the only democratic process. But they'll say we're in a democracy. All the founding fathers hated democracy. But they'll say it's a democracy. We're losing our democracy. Good. We never had one. Anyway, these are all things that I wish I knew back then. But I hope you got your $5 worth, Adam J. I'm still looking at your comment. But I wish I knew that stuff when I was 19. Little bit of a rant there. But I appreciate you, man. And I wish I was 19 again. God, I don't know. I wake up every morning pretty dang excited. I'm pretty excited every day. Every day I get to open up new crazy stuff that's coming in. I get to open up a new Foster's Eagles Nest set, or I get to open up a new gold bar. Another gold bar. Let me give you guys a little sneak preview. So I have the Engelhard gold bar, but this is only for the people of YouTube know this is coming. I got a 5-ounce gold bar going up on the auction site, a Harrington. If you know vintage gold and silver, this is a 5-ounce Harrington from out of Australia. I know I have some Australian people in here. But that's a pretty crazy rare gold bar right there. Harringtons are super desired, but that's going up on the auction block. That is a crazy bar. That's something that I haven't told anybody about yet. But there's going to be some crazy stuff on mineralexchange.com. I mean, all of the stuff that you're looking for, like the crazy rare bullion, the stuff that you just don't see on any of the main bullion houses, it's what's going on Mineral Exchange. I got raw gold nuggets going on Mineral Exchange. LM just said raw gold nuggets. I have gold nuggets going up there, Alaskan, Australian. I have Californian gold nuggets, crystalline gold nuggets. I have all different kinds of stuff going up on the website. So it's going to get, every single week it's growing more and more and more. And next week it's going to be pretty drastic. And it's exciting to see it grow. So if you want to just learn, if you want to be part of the auctions, if you want to do any of that, go to Mineral Exchange, check it out. There's a little, on the website, there's actually a button. This will be the last thing I talk about with the website, and then we'll get back to the comments. I think that was the last super chat. But Zilla's in the house. Zilla has a couple of my rare pieces from the past. That MTB bank, Zilla, at the time, it seemed like a lot of money. At the time, it was a very expensive piece. We're not going to talk too deep about it because I like to stay confidential. I'm sure you want me to stay confidential, but I've heard some offers pretty high on that. So I'll just leave it at that. I think you'll make a few thousand on that if you want to flip it. That's something. But I could show you the gold nugget. Yeah, I actually could. But let me show you really quick. Let me go back. But again, if my videos provide you any value, please register an account on Mineral Exchange. I've been working, literally, this has been at least a 3-year project. At least 3 years, 4 years, I've been building this, because it's not just building the website, but it's knowing how to operate it, all of that. But on every single one of these auctions, and also right here, you'll see the click here before bidding for all rules and info. So right here, if you go to rules and info, and I made the website very, very simplistic. I like very simple things. This is why I didn't do well in college. They say I have, they try to tell me I have Asperger's, but I don't really believe them. I think that they're a little crazy, but back in the day, they used to try to tell me that, but I like things very simplistic. I like to just keep it simple. And when I look at eBay, it's like so complicated. But I basically made the 10 auction rules and info, and it basically goes over the rules and info where it's no reserve. All auctions start at $1 with no reserve. So that way you can take into account the 10% buyer's premium. So if you want to spend $3,000, bid $2,700, bid $2,750, and take into account that 10% because it all starts at $1. All auctions start at $1. That's my way, because I don't charge the consignor. If you found this if you watching this found this Foster's Eagle Nest in the wild, I charge you nothing to accept it, to verify it, to do the photography, to upload it, to auction it, ship it, do the invoices, all of this stuff. I do all of that for free. The only thing we charge is the 10% buyer's fee. But if we're going to do that for the consignor, if we're going to do that for you that found this and wants to get top dollar for this, you got to put the court in the buyer's house. And the buyer, I'm not going to allow any reserves on my website. So people think it's crazy. It's like, why in the world would you ever do no reserve on bullion? Well, I'm crazy like that. If you want free auctions and you want to consign stuff for free, you got to put it in the buyer's hands. And that's basically the business model of mineralexchange.com. All of it, it's no reserve. That is the number one rule. I made sure that that's number one, so everybody knows all auctions have to be no reserve. The end time, they all start on Monday and end between 5 and 6 p.m. on Sunday, which is basically the reason it's between 5 and 6 p.m. on Sundays is because I'll stagger. So if this is a really cool lot, I might stagger this ending time 5 minutes from this ending time, because people might want to bid on both. So I didn't want to end it all at exactly 5 p.m. So it's going to be staggered about 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Some of the auctions are staggered, which is you can use the sort tool to find out which ones are ending the soonest. So every auction starts on Monday, ends on Sunday. Starts on Monday, ends on Sunday. That is pretty much the situation there. The verification of bid is the $1. It's not to make money. It's just to prove that everybody's authentic in the community. The sales tax is not charged on bullion numismatic items unless you're a resident of California and the invoice is under $1,500. These are basically the 10 rules here. The soft close, max bid. The auction site is exactly like eBay, whereas, and a lot of people ask this question, so this will be the last thing I bring up, but if you want to go to the website, mineralexchange.com, register an account. It's free to look at all this information. You don't have to bid. If you want to bid, you pay the $1 and then you're verified for life. Super, super easy. And I think it's like the best solution because I hate when eBay sends that verification pop up and makes you call them and sit on the phone for an hour and you already missed out on your item. So this is a big improvement from there. But if you want to check all this out, go to mineralexchange.com, make an account, and I think that you'll really, really appreciate how cool the website is. If you have any questions, call us, email us, and we'll get back to you within a business day. Again, I just wanted to make it as simple as possible. So you got the rules, you got contact consign. If you're interested in consigning, click there and you'll have the email and the phone number. Shoot us a text. You can literally just text that phone number too, by the way. Take a picture of the items you found in the wild, text a picture of that phone number. And so I want to create a whole new world of treasure hunters in the US looking for crazy stuff like this out there, because that's what I would love to see people making money. Because if you find this, you send it in. All you got to do is send it in here. We verify it for you. We'll auction it for you, and then we just cut you a check. You go cash your check. So it's pretty sweet if you're looking for a place to send your treasures off to. And then also, as this continues to scale, I'm going to be doing a lot of just regular bullion as well. So when coin dealers and different pawn shops are offering you back spot, or maybe they're offering you close to spot, maybe they're offering you a little bit above spot, you can auction it, and 9 times out of 10, you'll probably make more money auctioning it than you would by selling it to that local shop, because they have a ton of overhead they got to pay for. I don't have that kind of overhead. So it's going to be very interesting as this continues to scale. And now that it's in full steam, it's getting exciting. But yeah, you can make an account, check it out. Let me know what you think. It's getting better and better every single day. I'm building something more on the website, making it more simple, doing everything I can. But that is mineralexchange.com. For all the people that, were saying, oh, Rob's just slacking, he's not really building the website, he's, doing, it's like, that was my thing that I've been working on for a long time. And a lot of people told me I couldn't build an auction house. A lot of people, especially the ones that took me in when I was a waiter, thought I was crazy that I wanted to build an auction house. There's bids coming in as we're in the live stream. I almost want to say their names, but sorry. It's my ego. A lot of people told me that. I was like, you're crazy. Why do you think you could build an auction house? You're always... Anyway, let's get to some comments here. Somebody said they wanted to see the gold nuggets. I'll get the gold nuggets out of the safe. You guys want to see some of the gold nuggets that I got, and they'll be coming up on the website pretty soon here. Got Bob Marley in the house. Congratulations. I appreciate that, Bob Marley. Thank you. And sorry if I'm a little crazy, guys. I'm really excited about launching this, as you can tell. It's been launched for about 3-4 weeks now. So we've done our first 50 auctions on the website. A little bit over, I think a bit over like 30,000 has been auctioned, 30,000 so far on the site. So I plan to be ramping that up quite a bit. It's going to get fun. It's going to get interesting. And it's also cool that we're opening up to Canada. I just figured out a new software that I can accept payments from Canada. So, hey, we're coming. Let's get to a few more comments up in here. How long is this? Been an hour, 30-minute live stream. Probably an hour of that I'm ranting about my website. So I apologize if I've been ranting too much about my website, but really, really proud of it. And I think it's really cool to just be able to look at the photos and stuff and the auction histories and what's being available. Spend a lot of time on the photography. So that's my gift to the community is mineralexchange.com. That's my hard work. Let me go through some of these comments. Yeah, I'm here. I appreciate it. If I mispronounce your name, I'm sorry, but It's water. It's water in there. It's water. What's the best silver to buy? What's the best silver to buy? I'm not. It's hard to say because back in the day when we were when we were paying for the vintage stuff, people that bought these vintage bars, like I'm being honest, if you look up like on WorthPoint or you look up the history on eBay and stuff, when my auction house didn't exist, there'll be a much better extensive history on my website in the future. Give it 5 years, there'll be some crazy auction histories going on in there. But back in the day, people thought we were crazy to pay big premiums for rare silver, for like Swiss Bank. To have a bar of silver from Swiss Bank, it's pretty cool. I mean, come on. Like some people don't understand, but it's like you got a bar from Swiss Bank. Like, it's pretty cool. I mean, come on. Talk about taking the bankers' money from them, A gold bar from Swiss Bank, that an Engelhard gold bar from Swiss Bank. I mean, I think people can see that there's a cool factor there and there's going to be a premium on stuff like that. But back in the day, people thought we were crazy to be paying the premiums on vintage silver. And I'm telling you guys, a lot of us made, 5, 10x returns on our vintage. The vintage market exploded and just skyrocketed, and the prices of all the smaller silver bars just went like through the roof and started to become like numismatic. So I would say that don't ever underestimate your gut feel. My gut feel for something is going to be different for somebody else's gut feel. Like I look at this silver Eagle's Nest set from 1969. I'm going to sound like some QVC person or something right now, but I'm not. I guess now I got my own auction house, so I guess kind of. But like the thing is, it's like I look at something like this and I go, that's kind of undervalued. That's pretty cool that you can get an actual Eagle's Nest set from 1969 that was made by Foster, which is like a company there's a lot of history behind it. And so it's like to have an original set that they mailed out in 1969, all original and complete, all toned out like that, it's pretty cool. So stuff like that, somebody might think you're crazy. Like I think the bid's at $1,200 on this thing so far. I mean, just the 10 ounce, someone's asking like $800 for just the 10 ounce, not a completed set, but just for the 10. But to see like an original set like that, some people might think you're crazy to be paying like double spot or wherever this might end. But give it 5 years. That might be a $5,000 set. It might be, a $10,000 set because there's just not any out there anymore because all of the collectors are keeping them, especially with the original fixings with it. Things like that is like, you got to follow your gut. Now, maybe your gut tells you that I just want to be stacking 100-ounce bars at the lowest premium possible. Props to you. That might be the right move. So it all depends on what your gut feel is. For me, I understand the vintage market really well. But it's hard for me to answer that question because my feel is going to be different than somebody else's feel. My feel said to buy a Rolex, 3 years ago or whenever I bought this. And I paid like $19,000 for my Yachtmaster. And I think now it's worth, upwards of 30, something like that. So it's like that would have been a crazy move to tell somebody like, yeah, I'm going to buy a gold Rolex with profit. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll buy a gold Rolex. They'll be like, you're out of your mind. Why would you ever do that? Then you have this big gain, And so it's like, you got to know, I just know that they were undervalued. And so it all comes down to your gut feel. Overall, I would rather personally, I know a lot of people are into Eagles and they'll pay, $38 an Eagle, $40 an Eagle, all these different things that you could buy with big premiums. Personally, if I was looking just to stack silver, I would be in the lowest premium 100-ounce bars possible. I'd be stacking like vintage 100-ounce bars as closest to spot as I could get. That's where I would be at. I'd be at bars like this. If I was looking just to stack silver, I would much rather have this bar right here, which I hate to shill it because this bar is for saleable right now. It's at $2,000, but it's actually at $2,200 because there's the buyer's fee on there. But if you're going to buy this bar at $2,000, $2,200, the key is it's like, is that a better move to get it, or would you rather have 100 Eagles that you paid $4,000 for? Would you rather have the brick of silver for $2,200, or would you rather have the same amount of silver in Eagles for $4,000? It all depends on what your perspectives are. Personally, I'd rather have the 100-ounce myself or have kilos. I agree, I like kilos as well, but I'd rather have the bricks. I like bricks more than coins. Now, some people will say, well, it's not divisible. It's not, these different things. I mean, it's good to have some coins as well, but personally, I like the bricks. I've always liked bricks. I always like bars like this, bars like these. This is a company that's out of business from Canada, so my Canadians out there might recognize this. This is a Delta 100-ouncer. So Pretty cool bar. But again, it all comes down to your gut feel. It really does come down to your gut feel. Personally, once you like, I remember because I got taken in by these rare coin dealers, right? I've said my story a few times on my channel, and I'll eventually get into more detail on it. If you want to subscribe, click the red subscribe button. Really appreciate it. Register on mineralexchange.com. Also, the other thing is about, if I haven't been a good enough salesman to register on mineralexchange.com, I'm really proud of it. I really do want more people to use the website and see how much work I put into it, especially with what I'm going to be putting on it next week and the weeks after that, and just being able to see the insides of an auction house starting from the ground up. It's pretty cool. But apart from building that, I basically am excited to see that people are finally going to see what stuff is really worth. And at the same time, I think that once you finally hold a brick of silver versus a coin, something changes. And what I was saying just a second ago, I lost my train of thought for a second, but what I was saying is when I was working for the rare coin dealers, we were involved in numismatics. So I know everything about graded coins, libs, saints, tens, fives, all the different rare coins that were around, all the different pennies, all the different half cents, all that stuff. I came from numismatics and grading rare coins and sorting rare coins. And I always thought they were super cool and had a lot of history. But when I saw a silver brick for the first time, I was at in this coin hut, and there's the safe in the back. And I saw for the first time, I saw 1,000 ounce with 100 ounce on top of the 1,000 ounce and this little dog next to it. And I remember thinking to myself, that 1,000 ounce bar is bigger than that little pug next to it. That is crazy. That is some like treasure stuff. You have a legitimate brick of precious metal on the floor of your place right here. And that blew my mind. The first time I saw a brick of silver, like I lost myself. And that's when I fell in love with silver bars. And then when I found out that some were collectible and you could find some out there in the wild, it became a treasure hunting thing. Literally like a modern day treasure hunting thing where I don't know if it would be a movie or something, but there was some crazy stuff that happened on those trips. But it's going to be fun to hear the stories of finding all this stuff. Like I'm already, like as Foster's Eagles Nest said, I'm already starting to see the stories coming in and people sending stuff in. But I swear, when I first saw a brick of silver and a brick of gold, and I saw rare stuff that were actually like the chunk of silver, the chunk of gold, that's when I lost myself. So I will always like bricks more so. When I come out with my own product lines for Mineral Exchange, that's another thing I'm working on is my own product lines. Don't want to give away the designs or anything yet, but there's product lines coming soon. And so I'm designing stuff like the stuff that I think is cool. I'm not designing stuff whether I think it's going to sell or not sell. I'm designing something that I would want to buy, that I'd be like, wow, that's pretty cool. So that's what I'm designing with my own products with Mineral Exchange. So I've always liked bricks. That's just who I am. I like coins. I actually have a pretty extensive rare coin collection, but I will always be a fan of bricks. I tend to rant a little bit. That was for one comment, by the way, guys. I'll rant for 10 minutes on one comment that I will read and send me on a tangent. Free Like Summer, who was saying something about Mt. Gox and Bitcoin. Let me scroll up. I was interested in what you're saying there. Rob, since the Mt. Gox Bitcoins will be released next month, it might be a good time to turn crypto to fiat and silver. I don't think it's going to really affect too much the Mt. Gox situation. But again, like with Bitcoin, I don't know how many times I have to say the same thing about Bitcoin. And this is not directed at you, but gold and Bitcoin are nothing alike. And I've made multiple videos about this, and this is something Peter Schiff doesn't understand. It's something that a lot of the gold community doesn't understand. Most of the Bitcoin community doesn't understand this. But gold is memoryless. There's no memory to gold. It's been around forever. And you have a situation where Switzerland could accept Russian gold and nobody knows about it. Nobody knows how much gold we have. Nobody knows how much gold Russia has. Nobody knows how much gold, is out there. And there's a beauty to that. Bitcoin is a ledger system. It's a ledger system. And you're hoping that ledger system is adopted at scale. If that ledger system is not adopted at scale, it will become worthless. I don't think that it becomes worthless, but that is how it does become worthless if it doesn't get adopted at scale or something better comes out. I see Bitcoin succeeding. I hope Bitcoin succeeds, but it's not something that I'm going to bet the whole farm on. It's not something I'm going to do personally. I just look at it as foolish to be all in, foolish to have none. I have mine in my cold storage. It's just going to stay there. I don't plan on selling it. Don't plan on buying anymore. I got to a certain level that I felt comfortable with, and now it's there as my insurance play. I got a good amount, but I just don't see it as like something I'm going to go all in on. I'd rather build my businesses. I'd rather contribute to the economy. Like mineral exchange is my contribution to the American economy, right? So now there's a place to buy and sell precious metals that an entrepreneur created. I'll probably be having a lot more jobs created from this. Things like that happen. It's my contribution to the economy. There's nothing like I would never want to be all in Bitcoin or all in silver or all in gold and not build anything. I always want to be building stuff. So, anyway, just a rant. But there's so much like hate from the Bitcoin community and hate from the gold community, and it's like gold can't be digitized because then you got to trust a custodian, and Bitcoin can't be turned memoryless like gold. Like it can't have. They're different things. Bitcoin can never be a tangible that has no memory and no ledger, nothing like that. And gold can never become digital, regardless of these blockchain-based gold companies that try to keep popping up. That's basically a glorified ETF. Someone holds the gold. Why don't you just buy SLV? Like, there's been a few companies that have pitched that to me, and I still can't comprehend that logic. I give you my gold bar. You hold it in your safe, your vault, because nothing's ever gone wrong with that before. And you pay me some interest rate against my gold sitting in your vault. Somehow you make money from my gold sitting in your vault. But then also, I trust you with giving me some digital token against why don't I just keep my gold bar and you kick rocks? How about that, Mr. Custodian? You know, never trust custodians. And so I won't take their sponsor. Rather than taking sponsorships, if you notice on a lot of the precious metals channels, they'll be sponsored by somebody. There's been offers. I can assure you there's been offers on my channel. I'm not taking any of them. Maybe I'll be a slower growth. Maybe, it is what it is. Maybe they'll make more money than me in the short term, but I built my company. I don't have to put in my video. There's no paid advertisement thing. You'll see on a YouTube video, like around here somewhere, there'll be like, this is a paid advertisement or whatever. There's paid advertisements in this video. I didn't pay myself anything to talk about mineral exchange. So it's not a paid advertisement. I own 100% of it. There's no investors. I own 100%. All equity. Zero given out to anybody. They're trying, but they're not getting any of it. So I would rather advertise my company, which is a peer-to-peer, well, not peer-to-peer, peer to mineral exchange to peer exchange, where you don't have to trust mineral exchange to be you have to trust mineral exchange for about a week or two. You got to trust mineral exchange for about a week or two. So there is a little bit of trust there. Now, if I can get that trust maybe I can, in the next factory or the next warehouse, I can put cameras that can be monitored by people or something so they can see the gold and silver moving. I got ideas because I don't even like myself being a custodian, but I'm insured. When the bars get here, everything's insured by the company. Everything's verified by mineral exchange. And so I have basically created the best possible medium that I can think of to buy and sell precious metals and get true market value for it as a peer-to-peer, as a auction house. I want to say peer-to-peer, but it's not peer-to-peer. eBay's peer-to-peer. Metals cannot be peer-to-peer because there's too much trust involved without a middle verification. If mineral exchange, I'm not tied to this silver bar set. I'm going to verify it and I'm going to make sure it's authentic. If it's not authentic, then it's not getting auctioned. If it doesn't test positive for silver, it's not pure silver, it's not getting auctioned. That's basically the key, is there has to be peer to verification to peer. Otherwise, there's too much trust going peer to peer. So that was why I created mineral exchange, is because I believe that it's a perfect thing to get fair market value for, say you have silver eagles and some pawn shops of like offering you spot for them. It would be much better to auction them. You're going to get way more money for it because you're going to get fair market value. You get there's thousands and thousands of eyeballs in less than 3 weeks on that website. Like, so I don't want to say the actual numbers, but it's a lot. It's actually, people say like, I don't want to get into the numbers too much, but it's competitive. There's a lot of people on the website compared to other auction houses. So I'm excited to see it grow, but I appreciate all the support. There was somebody up here that said something really nice, and I didn't want to, Carolina Coins. I feel like I know you from somewhere. Carolina Coins. Maybe it's Instagram or something. He says, congrats on your website and success. That meant a lot to me, Carolina Coins. Thank you for saying that, man. Vacation Time says, anyone want to guess what the CPI will come in at next month? Think the Fed might go higher than 0.75 rate hike and possibly 1%. That's something I should have talked about in this video. I think they are going to do another 75 basis point hike, because now it's like, I feel like going into recession is what they want. They want to be able to place the blame on somebody or something and say, look, we're in a recession now, so inflation's out of control, everything's out of control, it is what it is. They just want to not really, there really is no safe way to get down. It cracks me up when they say there's going to be like a safe landing. Like, in what world, Fed Chair Powell, is there going to be a safe landing? How can you possibly have a safe landing, or soft landing is what you would say? I don't see that happening. There hasn't been a single time. So when we go, and I'll probably end the video pretty soon here, guys. I don't think I've missed any of the, we're coming up on 2 hours on this live stream. So yeah, they are talking about a 100 basis point hike, which is, it's funny. They say 100 basis points to make it sound like it's a big thing. It's 1%, guys. It's 1%. 100 basis points. It's 1%. They have 9.1% inflation. They're raising it from 1.58 to 2.58. And that's going to cause like mayhem. Mayhem it's going to cause. So it's just funny to think like, look what it, but so this is what is what's happening here. So this is the federal funds rate chart. Every single time, let me pull this back. And I talked about this. I must have talked about this 100 times on this channel. But to some new viewers, maybe I'll earn your subscribe here. If you haven't clicked the red subscribe, usually it takes me a while to click the subscribe as well on other channels. So I understand, but I hope this earns your subscribe. I hope I've given you some insights in this video that's worthwhile. To register an account on mineralexchange.com and subscribe to the channel. Maybe you hit the like button, see what happens. We're at 170 likes in here. And I haven't even said I'll flip the timer or anything like that. Maybe we'll get to 200 if I bring it up. If we hit the like button, please. Thank you. Trying to get these videos out to more people. But here's a tip here, and it's just pattern recognition. Every single time, this is their federal funds rate chart. So when they talk about raising 100 basis points, I just want to simplify this for you. This is that chart where they've raised the percentage at the Fed, raising the federal funds rate. It's called the federal funds effective rate chart. Every single time they've raised it, the gray period here is a recession. So literally, they've raised the federal funds rate. This is the early 70s, raised the federal funds rate, boom, triggers a recession. And then you have a big multi-year recession here. This is when the Paul Volcker era happened. They raised the federal funds rate to fight the inflation, all the stagflation going on. Got to here, triggered the first recession. Right here in 1980, triggered the first recession. Then they dropped the federal funds rate to combat the recession like they did in 2008. Then they had to raise it back up again, and they triggered another recession. So these little gray periods here are the recessions. So do you guys see anywhere on this chart where raising the federal funds rate didn't cause a recession to follow? And look at, see the thing, this is Peter Schiff says this, and I think Peter Schiff is dead on the money with this. The longer of a period before recessions, the longer you see the federal funds rate, the more tightly coiled it is, and worse the next recession will be. So you see this major recession in 2009. This was caused by a housing bubble, not a currency bubble. Then in 2009 they raised the rates, triggered the recession in 2009, and then it took all of that time to get out of that recession. But then they made it at zero pretty much. So they gave away all of this free money here to get us out of that crazy recession. But now it's just getting tightly bound up and more tightly bound up. So when they're raising it again, where on this chart have you seen where they've raised the federal funds rate and there wasn't a recession to follow? There's this huge period of time, more than 10 years since a recession. This was only a couple month period here at the beginning of the pandemic that you see the gray here. But really, there hasn't been a major recession since 2009. So 13 years has gone by with all of this money printing going on, all of this free money being given out with no interest on these loans. And now here they are tampering with the federal funds rate again. It's going to be exactly like 2008 and 9 where they raise the federal funds rate, triggers a recession. Just this time around, it's going to be way worse than 2009 because so much time has progressed since the last recession. It's really that simple. I'm no economics major. I got no degrees. But this is the truth. This is the chart that you won't see the Fed talk about. This is like the real information. And I just like to simplify things. And I hope I simplified it. And I hope people check me if I'm wrong here. In the comments. None of my comments are, I don't monitor the comments. So all comments fly in here. So if you think I'm crazy, say I'm crazy. But I think everybody's on the same page with this, that if they keep raising the federal funds rate, it triggers a recession. And this recession is going to be a lot worse than it was in the past. So that's what I think is happening. And as the DXY continues to climb and climb and climb like this, last recession, we can go back to history and study history. It's right here. The DXY In 2009, the DXY went from, 90, and then they raised this is them raising the federal funds rate right here. You see the DXY artificially jumping as they raised that federal funds rate, and then you saw it crash with the recession. And then what followed afterwards is the dollar, after the recession, the dollar crashes, and then that's when precious metals skyrockets. So in the short term, you see that artificial rise in the dollar index because they're basically messing with the federal funds rate. It makes the dollar appear artificially strong until it inevitably causes a recession. After the recession or mid-recession, the dollar plummets in value and metals skyrocket. So it's like we're right at the beginning of this chart. And when you look back at the DXY and you go back to silver and you look at that exact time period, I mean, it's pretty clear what happens there. I mean, this is when you saw the artificial jump in the DXY prior to the 2009 recession, you saw silver fall down. I would say we're about right here. So we've seen silver start to fall with an artificial jump in the dollar, starts to go down, and then eventually will bottom out. Then the dollar plummets, the DXY plummets, and silver skyrockets. And you see silver get to the all-time high of roughly 50, from 8 to 50. So it's like, did you care if you topped it out, if you bought the top here, or if you bought the bottom here, or did it matter at all? I mean, you could have just been buying this whole time along right here, and you would have done very, very well. So this is where we're at right now, my personal opinion. I'd argue that we're like right around here. That's about right there in the history of silver. And so we scroll back the chart. See, we have a pullback here, artificial rise in the dollar, pullback in silver. I mean, it's pretty textbook. It's like the same formation. It's literally the same formation. This fall right here, fall right there. And I'm not really even a chart guy. I'm not like Jay Bravo, even though I like the guy. I'm not really too much of a chart guy. I just like to look at pattern recognition and common sense. And you see the exact fall right there to here. This fall is that fall, and then you see the skyrocketing after when the DXY falls. Now, what's interesting is the DXY is the last time it was this high, again, was in 2002, 2003. It's pretty clear what happens here. So hopefully this helps some people out there. Hopefully it earns a subscribe. Maybe you want to check out my website, my auction house, mineralexchange.com. Would really appreciate you did that. Really appreciate if you take that 1 second to hit the like button, that 1 second right there. If you could hit the like button, would really appreciate it. Again, the only company I will ever advertise is my own. So if something goes wrong with Mineral Exchange, it's on me. It's on me. I can't just be like, oh, I accidentally said to go to Celsius Network and then they went bankrupt. I can't do that. Oh, I told you to go to Duquan's, TerraCoin, and then everyone lost their money. You see all of that going on. Like there are a lot of these YouTubers like, oh, go to BlockFi. They lose the money. Go to Celsius. Trust this Kinesis. Trust like all these different companies. Just all my opinion. Don't sue me, bro. Don't sue me, bro. I can't say I don't accept any of your money, and I can criticize your companies if I want, actually, so you can't sue me. But anyway, I don't advertise for them because I want to advertise my own company, and I don't have to put the paid promotion thing in my YouTube video because I own that company. They can come after me and say, hey, you got a promotion. It's like, no, I didn't. I paid myself nothing. I am the sole member of that company. So if I advertise, at least it's my brand. So there's that. It might take me a while. I might not make as fast as money, but at least I own it. So getting a 20% return for loaning your coins should have been a big red flag. If you guys haven't looked up what happened with Celsius, and what's that guy's name? Something with an M, the guy who runs that company. You can look up CEO of Celsius. I talked with him in a Twitter space one time and called him out. And I told him, I'm like, you're basically telling me that we're going to trust you as a custodian to hold the Bitcoins, and then we're supposed to believe that you're going to give us 20%? Like that just, to me, it's like, it's hard to say this, but like if you trust a custodian and you haven't studied history and you believe that somebody's going to give you 20%, if I told you, hey, give me your silver bar and I'm going to pay you 20% to hold your silver bar. I'm not going to sell it. I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm going to somehow lend it around and get your silver bar back. I'm not going to lose it. I'm going to lend it around and get it back. And I'm going to pay you 20% to do that. No, it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. So it's like the pitch is crazy that people were giving their savings up to say, oh, I'll make 20% if I give my custody to this person. Don't ever give up your custody. If you're giving up your custody, like for me, if you find something in the wild and you have to trust Mineral Exchange with custody of that item, like the person trusts me with the custody of this silver bar set, They got a lot of free advertising. So hopefully that set does well. So there's that. And I still only make my 10%. So I did you a solid there, guy. But I appreciate you sending it in because it's a pretty cool set. Sad to see it go. But at the end of the day, I still get bothered that there's a 2-week period from somebody sending me something to me cutting them their check. We have to photograph it and then auction it. I can have a turnaround in 2 weeks or less. So that's pretty good, is the turnaround in less than 2 weeks to get you to cash people out of their collectibles. That's my timeline with Mineral Exchange is 2 weeks. I can get the no reserve auction up. I can run the auction within a week. If I get it on a Wednesday, it'll run in the next Monday. If I get it on a Saturday, it'll run in the next Monday. I can get things going in that way, and I can have a turnaround time of 2 weeks or less. Probably right now it's 2 weeks or less. Maybe in the future it might turn into 3 weeks or less. But overall, the time that Mineral Exchange is the custodian with my business is less than a month. And then they get a check, and they're cut a check. And it's my brand. If something goes wrong with Mineral Exchange, it's me. I get canceled, and I would expect you to cancel me. I would expect people to call me out if something bad happened. But I'm not saying I'm going to loan this silver bar set to a friend who's going to pay me interest, and then I can get it back and then somehow afford to pay you 20% and then send you back your item that you let me hold on. Like, it's so obvious that these are scams. Never let somebody be a custodian of your items. And if they are, you better be on them. If somebody trusts me as the custodian to run an auction, I want them to be on me. Is the auction up? Have you gotten the photos done? Is it being sold? Like, what's happening? Okay, here's my check. Okay, we're good. I trust you. Thank you. But never ever let a custodian sit on items for years. Like, that is foolish. There has never been a time that you could trust a custodian to sit on anyway. It just blows my mind. A lot of Bitcoiners are very smart individuals. So the fact that some of them fell to give their Bitcoin to somebody else, and this has happened, by the way, this has happened in precious metals. Look up Rust Rare Coin. That's an interesting story. God, actually, I'm going to write that down because I should make a video. Would people be mad if I exposed that? Well, I just did. Anyway, if you Google Rust Rare Coin, this guy was a Ponzi scheme that said that he was trading silver and took people's money in, was trading silver with their company, and literally took, I think, like tens of millions of dollars in the silver industry with a Ponzi scheme, very similar to Celsius. So we have this in precious metals as well. It's not just Bitcoin. This happens in precious metals. If you Google, I already said it in the video, so I guess it is what it is. It's public information. But if you look up Rust Rare Coin I think they're out of Utah, was a Ponzi scheme in the silver industry. So this does happen in silver and gold. I do see that. I actually have been, I'm not going to say this company because they're still an active company and they do some normal stuff, but the idea that they're doing lending against gold, there's a company that is out there that actually wanted me to interview their CEO for some reason. I told them to kick rocks. And I also, they literally went on my videos and started commenting in my comment section to check out their product. And I personally messaged back their email. I said, I wouldn't reply to your email because I don't like your product at all. The only reason I'm replying to your email is because it is ridiculous and unprofessional for you to be advertising in my comment sections of my videos. I don't believe in your company. So I'm going to further tell you to delete all of those comments. Do not ever come in my video and put marketing in my videos on products that I don't even respond to your emails. And they did. They got their tail between their legs and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. And they act like they're all this pretentious big gold company. But they're like, well, people should stack weight and trust us as their custodian, and we'll give you them interest against their gold. They can do both. I'm like, how about they do none of the custodian thing and put gold in their safe? How about that? How about they don't trust you with, that's a cute little marketing gimmick, guy, but I'm not going to advertise your product. And I don't want to interview your CEO either. I don't like him. I don't like your product. I don't like him. And I don't like that you're shilling your product in my comment sections. But pretty big company. Pretty big in the larger range. A lot larger than my company in terms of size. Employees and stuff. Hundreds of employees and whatnot. But anyway, I don't believe in trusting custodians. And I don't believe in getting interest against your item by trusting a custodian. I don't believe in any of that. And one day, I think I can legally, I talked to my lawyer friend about this, and I can legally screenshot these emails where I just totally laugh at these big companies. Anyway, it's probably not a good thing that I keep doing this because I'm burning bridges and stuff, but you know what? I am what I am, you know? I am what I am. It is what it is. I don't like their product. There's a couple super chats. I appreciate that. Someone put like America First on here. Right on. Appreciate those super chats. It says, same person, America First, gave me $5 and says, been trying to get in touch about consignment of some of my silver. No response thus far to emails, texts, and calls. 2 weeks so far. You sent it to the right email? I have the Mineral Exchange phone is right in front of me here, and we've gotten to every single text message. So that the best way to get to us would probably be by going to mineralexchange.com and then making an account, go to consignment. And if you might have had the wrong email. It's not info@Mineral Exchange. It's info@mineralx.com. So there's like SpaceX. So I also own mineralx.com. I don't know if it's ADD or OCD or whatever I got, but I like the idea of having mineralx.com because it's shorter and more clean. But info@mineralx.com is the email, and the phone number is on the website. And just text the phone number or send an email. I would definitely get back to you. I actually just checked the spam folder of the info one just this morning, and I got back to every single email just this morning. So you might have sent it to the wrong email. Send it again, and make sure to text it to me as well. Text some pictures to the Mineral Exchange phone. The phone on the website, you can text that. So text some photos there, send some emails to the info@mineralx, and I will get back to you. So again, it is info@mineralx.com is the email. Send it there. We'll definitely get back to you. It might just be a fluke, but I'll definitely make sure I get back to you. Space Lord, I do it for the laugh out loud. It was pretty funny. Like some of these emails are pretty funny. Like, because there'll be like people that will say like, we're a perfect mix for a cross between your YouTube and like, we're not, because you haven't watched any of my videos. Because if you did, you'd see me constantly bashing on your products that I don't like. There's some that are great. Some companies really do a great job. I like a lot of them. A lot of the metals companies are good, but some of them offer these custodian services and like weird things that I don't believe in. And they rip off people and like with IRA accounts and these different things. Take custody of your metals. And if you want to sell your metals, send them to Mineral Exchange. Get top dollar. Actually auction and get it for a real market price of what your item's worth. Don't trust a quote or whatever. Let the free market decide. Odds are the free market will pay you a lot more. So that is the things that I endorse. Those are the things I'm building. Really proud of it. Really proud of it. I'm really excited to launch my own lines of products and stuff as well. But anyway, I'm cordial though. I didn't say their name. Some people might jump to a conclusion because there's only so many metals companies out there that offer custodian services, but I didn't say their name. So I'm a nice guy. I didn't appreciate them going in my comment sections trying to. Anyway. Robert Laird says, Rob, who taught you how to invest in metals? Tell us the backstory. Well, if you sign up for my Patreon, I'm just kidding. I don't even have a Patreon. But the story is so crazy that like I don't think people would believe it. Like how it all happened in a way. I mean, like long story short, I was a waiter for the right table. The right table took me in. They didn't ever really hire me. They let me be more of a fly on the wall. I didn't like rare coins and I liked bullion, and so I learned more about bullion, and I've always been inquisitive. Looked up what stuff was worth on eBay, and then traveled to every coin shop and pawn shop I could in the back of my car. Literally traveled state to state to state, buying rare gold and silver and flipping it and selling it on social media and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that happened, a lot of craziness. There were college. I had a chip on my shoulder because I never went to college, so I'd go to colleges and like try to pick up on, go pick up on some women over there and stuff. But there was definitely trips to Utah State. There was trips to in Vegas, a lot of staying at Airbnbs in Vegas. And whenever I had like a good flip, I'd get a good Airbnb, and so I wouldn't be sleeping in my car. I'd be like living super lavish for like a week, and then go back to living in my car, and then have some good flip, and then go back to driving like a fancier car. I'd get like a Turoed car and drive that. It was a pretty wild time. But one day I'll share like all of the stories of it. But it's hard for me to. It's a long story. But overall, that's kind of the overview of it, but without like the intricate details. But there were some crazy flips on like leveraging and different things and building connections and the value of a reputation. Like one of the biggest things, if I could give anybody a piece of advice that wants to start in flipping things, they could be flipping cars. You could be flipping cars. You could be flipping metals. You could be flipping rare coins. Whatever it is that you're flipping. You could be flipping Pokemon cards. There seems to be a big market there. Comics. Whatever you're flipping, guard your reputation with your life. Mineral Exchange's reputation is to the tune of millions. If I wanted to get $1 million in gold to Mineral Exchange, my reputation is good enough to ask for that and get a week period to get the stuff sent to us. So it's like your reputation is everything. Never be late on a shipment. Never be late on an invoice. If you are late on an invoice, call them. That's one of the biggest. If I had like a Patreon where I charge people money, which I don't, 48 Laws of Power is a great book, Zilla, and they go over that. Guard your reputation with your life. And I have had to guard my reputation with my life a few times. And the reason I'm still here standing, the reason I can be so public and I can have a YouTube channel and all of this is because I've never wronged somebody. I've always fulfilled every deal. I've always paid every invoice on time. And if I wasn't on time with an invoice, I owned up to it. I called them and I said, hey, I'm late. I'm going to pay you interest. I owe you 10 grand. I'm a week late. Let's call it 10,300. Is that okay? I really appreciate you taking the initiative. We're really happy to do business with you because you take the initiative and you call them and you say, hey, I'm late and I don't want anything for free. I'm going to pay you interest. I'm going to pay you something. So like things like that is everything. Always own up to everything. Never, ever hide from anyone. Everyone knows if you're hiding. One of the biggest things that I've noticed with coin dealers is them hiding from an invoice. Oh, I didn't get the invoice yet. I was a little late. It's like, I can check the tracking. You're late on the invoice. You took a little bit too much time. You owe me 10 grand, cough up a little extra. If they don't and they're late, say they're a week late on paying an invoice, something like that, well, you don't do business with that person anymore. They get a bad reputation. So it's like owning up to your stuff is everything. So you might be a comic dealer. You might be whatever you are. You're whatever dealer you're in, whatever flip game you're in, whatever hustle you're in, really. Have integrity. And when you're wrong, when you're taking too long on something, if you've overextended yourself, own up to it. Always own up to it. Take extreme ownership in that situation. That's like a Jocko thing, but I use it in business where it's like never, ever back down from ownership when you're wrong in a scenario. And I have been wrong in scenarios in the past, and I've always owned up to it. So like guarding your reputation with your life is kind of the main thing, but the inner working details of that is always own up to the stuff inside of that. So guard your reputation, always own up to things when you mess up. Always own up to it. But that's kind of, Robert, the great name, Robert, by the way. Robert Laird. I don't know if you're related to that surfer, but great last name too. But even better first name. I like your first name. But that's kind of my story, I guess. It was a crazy tales of serendipity. You know what's funny? I'll end the live stream on this because I'm sure people are like, I was here to learn about, why gold and silver is crashing. And here he's talking about his company. He's talking about life stories and things like that. But I like to keep it real in these live streams. It's kind of fun doing these live streams too because you can't overthink them. They're just live, so you can't edit them or be like, oh, I shouldn't have said that there. I probably shouldn't have bashed on that company there. Probably wasn't a good idea. Messed up a brand deal down the line, But I don't want their brand deals. Whatever. But looking back on it, the serendipities of life is such a crazy thing. I remember that night vividly as I was a waiter, and these coin dealers were like, they were drinking, they were partying, there were things involved, and they were always late to everything. I'm sure people can jump to conclusions. Coin dealers are pretty wild. They party. And so this group, they came in at like 8:45 or 8:30 when we closed at 9. If you've seen that, anybody seen that movie Waiting, where they like throw everything against the wall and it's like everybody's mad that somebody came in at the last minute? It was exactly like that. And I was the waiter and I was the closing waiter at the restaurant. And so I was like trying to pass the table off to other people. And I remember that. I remember trying to pass the table off and nobody would take the table, but the universe told me like, you have to take this table. You can't pass it off to somebody else. You got to take this table. And taking that one table changed the entire course of my life. It's kind of wild to think about, And then whoever's life I might have affected because it changed the course of my life. I mean, just thinking how the universe From one little thing happening, the universe opened up a whole different other web of things. I don't know what, maybe I'd still be a waiter right now. I don't know. I always have been entrepreneurial my whole life. I mean, but I have a lot of stories that I haven't told from prior to being a waiter, but it's crazy to think about life in that way. There's so much serendipities involved. And the problem is like this younger generation overthinks everything and makes dramatic conclusions on what they're going to do with their life. And college is to blame for that. Where they're like, Jimmy, you're going to be a doctor and you're going to go to college for 8 years and you're going to get yourself $400K in debt, $300K in debt. You're going to call up Dave Ramsey and you're going to say, hey, I'm $400K in debt, driving a Mercedes I can't afford, and I'm super debt. And then you're going to have this Ramsey guy looking at, well, what you should have done is you shouldn't have taken the debt on. And now what you got to do is you got to live off beans and rice and you got to, get off that debt. And how much do you make every year? Well, we're unemployed right now. It's not really looking too good in the workforce, but we're $300K in debt and we're married and there's 2 of us, so there's $600K in debt. And Dave Ramsey sitting there, I'm making a fortune off of you with my YouTube videos and all of my different things and appreciate you getting me rich, but this is what you got to do. You got to, you see so much of that going on. But it cracks me up because the truth, like there is no better time to be an entrepreneur. There is no better time to work for somebody else too. Like there's no better time to be a waiter, to work for an entrepreneur, to become an entrepreneur yourself. Like this is the best time ever. We have supercomputers in our pockets. When I was a kid, we were stoked about having a Motorola Razr flip phone. I remember being stoked that my flip phone lit up on the front. I'm like, oh, look, it's got colors. And then when you could see your friend's face on the flip phone, that was a big deal. But nowadays, people are born with a supercomputer in their pocket and they're busy trying to get a business degree from college. It's like, dude, you got a supercomputer in your pocket, man. Create something with that. There's a bajillion things you could be doing with that supercomputer in your pocket that has a super camera on the back of it. It's like, get to work. What are you doing studying a textbook from 1982 for $300? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. That whole system, and you're paying for it too. Like there's people that are paying for this to do a Zoom class throughout this whole thing. Like they're doing Zoom classes, paying a fortune. So when I was talking that there's a 19-year-old kid with 4 ounces of gold earlier in the stream, I'm being dead serious. I'd drop out immediately while flipping off my professors. I'm out of here. I'm going to be a waiter. I'm done. I don't want anything that you're providing. I don't want your debt. I don't want your crappy jobs. I don't want to be any part of your systems. And the sad thing is when a college kid gets educated and they have this big debt burden and they spent 4 years of their time, they've gotten pot committed. So when you get somebody that pot committed, they're going to try to defend their decision. Oh, this was the right decision and you're wrong. You don't understand because you're uneducated. And it's like, no, you're in the matrix with a bunch of, you're in the matrix. I've exited that matrix and I see things for what they are. I'm not in that matrix anymore. And so I can look at it directly and go, that's a scam. If you really want to learn something, you have unlimited free information out there. All of my YouTube videos are free. Everything is free on YouTube. You can learn whatever you want. You could start an auto business. One idea I had one time, here's a good business idea. Here, somebody listening, this might change your life. I remember when I did this myself. One of my windows in my car got broken into one time, and they stole my skateboard out of my window. Really devastating time in my life. I like that skateboard. But they broke my window, side window on my car, took my skateboard. I went to the dealership. They wanted $400 for this window. I went on Amazon. I searched that window. I went to YouTube. How to fix that window. It cost me $40 for that window off Amazon. It was delivered for free right to my door the next day, like literally overnight, had the glass window, went to YouTube, how to fix window on this model car. Like 3 screws. So unscrewed it, put it on. It had a $500 invoice, not including the labor. And it was like $500-$600 to fix this window. I fixed it for $40 from a YouTube video and it was a perfect step-by-step YouTube video. And it got overnight. I did fix my car faster than they probably would have taken a week to fix my car. So it's like I fixed it faster for $40. Now that person can go, I can fix other people's windows for half the price of the dealership. So I'm a window repair company. And then you literally could be fixing people's windows, charging $400 instead of $500, or charge $300 instead of $500, and faster, better service. Boom, you got a business making you a couple $100. No, you do 3 windows, 4 windows a day, making $1,000 a day fixing windows. That was one that YouTube could have provided. There is a good idea. Things didn't work out with metals, I would probably do that. That's pretty good money. You could literally be making like $1,000 a day doing that. That's $1,000 a day idea, fixing broken windows. Like all kinds of stuff like that for free on YouTube. Use your imagination. All that time that you're spending in college, drop out, use your imagination to build something cool. That's just my take on it, but America says, just texted a few pics. I'll make sure to check that right when I get off the live stream, man. I'll make sure to check it. Andy Christ says the DXY is going to 165. 165. That would be pretty wild, man. I mean, this is the DXY right here. Hang on. You're saying that this chart right here from 108, 107, 108 is going to go all the way to, you said 165, which is the highest. It's the highest point since the 80s, which is interesting. If we have the highest inflation since the 80s, maybe there is some merit to that. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's possible. If it did do that, that would be one major opportunity. One major opportunity, because that money would have to go somewhere. I happen to think that it's probably going to go around like, I feel like it's going to get like a right here at best, and then the crash starts funneling it down. I just don't see, the thing is, like, with inflation this hot, we've never seen something like this where the Fed doesn't have the tools in the tool chest. Back in the 80s, Paul Volcker was able to stop crazy inflation and stop everything because he basically raised the federal funds rate to like 20%. They can't do that now. They don't have that tool in the belt. So when Paul Volcker stopped that, it's funny, you can look at that chart to this chart. You see that they basically stopped the craziness happening. So when you had a dollar that was getting way too strong, it was also due to the craziness going on in the world at the time. They were going through stagflation. And when I would argue we're in the same type of stagflation now, but back then to stop it, they raised the federal funds rate to 22% at one point. In December of 1980, they had it at 22%, triggered a major recession. But they can't, what do you think, they're going to raise the federal funds rate to 22%? They can't do that. They default. They can't, it's not possible. So, and then that would cause like the gnarliest recession, housing market crash, like the craziest thing would happen. I just don't see them being able to stop things. So I just don't see that there could be an artificial jump in the DXY that high before an inevitable fallout. They've been it's like somebody's been tampering so much with the money supply and tampering so much with the strings on everything that it's at the point of no return. And there's competition mounting among the currency space. Our own Fed chair is saying things like, there's room for another reserve currency out there while other nations are using their currency to transact on a national level. Like that's if you're a reserve currency of the world, you're the reserve period, you wouldn't have situations where the Saudis are accepting the yuan. You wouldn't have Russia accepting the ruble for their oil and things like that and gold. It's like, so these countries are starting to already become their own reserve currencies in a sense, using their own currency on a multi-nation transaction. Or nation-to-nation transactions. There's no dollars involved in these transactions. There's no SWIFT network involved in these transactions. So the DXY hasn't faced things like this. In the 1980s, at least they were under Bretton Woods. You know, they were under Bretton Woods. And now we're still under Bretton Woods technically, but all the money's not back to gold. They stole it all. I mean, there was an agreement there that it would be back to gold, but they stole it all. So, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting times right now. I truly believe, and it's already happening, that there's going to be competition among the basket of fiat currencies out there. So we've never seen that. At least in the last 50 plus years, we haven't seen competition among fiat currencies. The dollar has just been the strongest one. But also, the dollar used to be back to the greatest military force in the world, but we all have super weapons now. Superpowers have super weapons, so you can't really use the military force argument unless for just the smaller countries to be back to the dollar. But in the short term, the dollar is the best of the worst, but overall, there's going to be competition mounting, and more countries might adopt Bitcoin. More countries might adopt gold. They might adopt, different standards, and they also might only accept their currency and stop using dollars altogether. And so there might be multiple CBDC type fake currencies out there. It's a crazy idea to navigate all of this stuff, but overall, it's very hard to develop a thesis besides own tangible assets that are not pegged. I mean, an ounce of silver is an ounce of silver. An ounce of gold is an ounce of gold. A collectible is the collectible. It doesn't mean you have to sell it for dollars. You can trade it for whatever you want. If I wanted it my way, I could say I only accept Bitcoin, or I only accept gold, and people have to pay me in gold. People have to pay me in silver. If I say I only accept that, then that's how it'll be. So put yourself in a position where you use the fiat currencies as a hot potato, so to speak. Like that's what it'll always be. It'll always be a means to transact in the digital realm for commodities or assets or whatever it is to buy your bread at the grocery store. But it'll be just a means to an end. You're just using it as the air that it is to make a transaction. But then you can go back into a position where you can change that. Like this silver bar will right now it's technically 2,500 or 2,200 worth, 2,300 or whatever worth of US dollars, right? But what if I don't want to sell it for US dollars? Maybe I want rubles, maybe I want yuan, maybe I want euros, maybe I want Bitcoin for it. Because I own the silver bar, I have the choice on what currency I want because I own the asset. This is what it is. Nobody can inject on it. Nobody can mess with it. It's here. I got it right here in my hand. I choose what I want to use for my medium. So maybe I want to be paid in gold. Maybe I want an ounce and a half of gold for this bar. Maybe I want platinum for it. Maybe I want palladium for it. Maybe I want to trade it for a car. Maybe I want whatever I want to do. I have control of what I use this for barter for. So that's really the key is having assets. The divide between people that have assets and don't have assets, it's going to be very, very polarizing. Someone just said polarizing. Like literally, that's the best word I can use. It's going to be polarizing to see that divide happening because a lot of people don't understand this. They think $1,000 in their bank account will be $1,000 in their bank account tomorrow. No, it will not. It will be dramatically losing its buying power year over year. So that's how I look at it. It's all about having control of the barter, having control of the asset. You can be paid in whatever you want to be paid in. So even if the dollar doesn't succeed, which it'll probably be around for a while, and it'll probably be artificially raised for a little while. If that doesn't succeed, it's like, well, I can use whatever currency is left over after that because I have other things than dollars. So that is the whole argument for it. Having custody of your assets is huge because at the end of the day, like if you have Tesla stock, for example, right now, well, that's denominated in dollars. Tesla stock isn't denominated in silver. It isn't denominated in gold. It's denominated in digital dollars with multiple layers of failure that can happen. Multiple layers of, I call it the trust funnel. I've talked about this in the past where it's like a trust funnel. You're trusting that TD Ameritrade has your Tesla stock. You're trusting that the stock market is going to be not frozen from like a circuit breaker happening. If it falls 13%, the entire stock market freezes. You're trusting that it can go from TD Ameritrade to your bank account, and then from your bank account to you in the form of cash or into, I don't know, your Venmo or Cash App. You're hoping that all that solvency is there. The app works, the bank works, and then you got to trust that the money works. You got to trust that the currency, that fiat currency, that air that it's back to has some sort of solvency that you can then move that currency somewhere else. So do you really own Tesla stock or do you own air? It's tough. When it comes down to like, when you think about custody, it's really like you own air. But then again, I've exited the matrix. I'm not in the matrix. I see things for what they are. And once you see things for what they are, you can't go back. And it's hard because everything else just seems like a game of hot potato. It really does. A stock market seems like a game of hot potato to get in, get out, and then move that air somewhere else. Everything becomes a game of hot potato. I want to have more assets moving cash flow all the time. It's all hot potato. Once you realize that it's all fake, it's all about cash flow. It's all about moving that hot potato around. That's some deep stuff that took me a long time to learn that. So maybe it helps some people out there. Don't charge anything for it. Share the videos on social media. Help get my company out there to more people. I'm not changing. I got nobody. There's no strings attached to my back. I don't got to do nothing for nobody. Nobody owns me. So that's how I live my life until I'm out. You know, that's how I am. But I appreciate everybody being here. Tom, I did share a photo on Facebook of me holding a 1,000-ounce silver bar, you know. But appreciate you being here, Tom. But yeah, we'll call it a video. I appreciate everybody being in here. Tom says, pay the buck on Mineral Exchange and be able to bid. By the way, I just want to be very, very clear about that. The dollar is not to profit. I'm going to give back much more money to that list. It's simply to verify. So I had the choice, and I still do have this choice. I could change it. So maybe you guys could convince me otherwise, but I think I'm on the money with this one. I think it was the right decision to make. A lot of auction houses that are technically, I can say they're my competitors now because I'm in the game now, but a lot of them don't verify their bidders. So a person could literally put an email, a password, and be able to bid on their auctions, and there's no verification medium. So when you pay with a credit card or a debit card, I can see that that credit card or debit card is linked to the name associated with the account. So I know that you at least had some sort of background check to have your name matching the credit card, debit card, which then matches the account. So that was the whole reason for the $1. It's not about profit. It's about verification that the person is in fact that bidder. And then if you have a PayPal, as a confirmed address. So like that whole thing to me is a verification that I can have to have more integrity into my community of bidders. I'd rather have 1,000 bidders with integrity than 10,000 bidders that were just made off of fake accounts or something. So it's a very important thing, I thought, the verification method. And that was a hard thing to figure out too. But I feel like it's an essential thing, but it's only a one-time thing. And then after that, it's done. There was another girl that also sent me a super chat. I don't miss super chats. Hey man, you said, hey man, ended it. Oh, enjoyed it, I meant. Okay. Hey, Jeff L. Wadford Jr., I really appreciate that super chat. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it, Jeff. Lori says, lurking, reading comments, learning a lot, and it appears I'm the only female here, but you are more than welcome, Lori. You are more than welcome. You might be, I don't know if you're the only female here or not, but if you are, just know you're more than welcome here. All these guys in there, they don't bite. I promise. They're all really good people. They're a little crazy. We're all a little crazy in here, but we're all good people, and you're more than welcome, Lori. I appreciate you being here. Ultra Baron says, COMEX registered reaching 0. Does it cause a rocket? I don't get too into the COMEX stuff myself. I should do some more digging on it. So I don't like to comment if I'm uninformed. And on the COMEX, as of right now, I'm a little bit uninformed. I think that there is, there's some merit to it, but there's so much, I'm trying to use the right words, but it really is. There's so much manipulation going on right now. I was reading a report recently about all the derivatives and all the paper contracts and how there was a huge explosion in paper contracts that finally was leaked on how much the banks are holding the price of metals down. So there is a lot of merit to this. I just need to do a little bit more research in regards to the current state of the COMEX. I can't comment on it right now, but it could cause a rocket. But I'll do some research and I'll make a video on that in the future because I do think there is some merit there. There is only one way. There's a super chat. It says there's only one way: Bitcoin, silver, gold, and extra food to the moon. I am with you, and his or her name is. There is only one way, and that I believe is the only way. I'm with you. I'm with you. Did I miss Bite Hunter? Bite Hunter. I did. Bite Hunter has been here since the very beginning. Bite Hunter, I appreciate you. And Bite Hunter gave me a super chat for $9.99 and didn't have a question or anything. That's the kind of support that Bite Hunter has been on this channel. So Bite Hunter, I really, really appreciate you. Thank you for that. I actually wanted to say, I forgot to say this. Anyone who wins an auction on my website for, I said more than 1,000, maybe I'll lower it to like 500 or something, but I try to call back the people that win the auctions on my website. I only have so much time in the day. So I try my best to do like a 20-minute, 30-minute call with anybody that wins an auction on the website. But if you want to talk to me directly and you want to talk about things, outside of the comment sections here and stuff, and you'll get a product, you'll actually get something in the mail, you'll get a tangible, that's probably the best way to get a hold of me is win an auction. And I will call anybody that wins an auction over $500. I guarantee you, I will call you personally on the number that you put on to register with the account. I will call that number to congratulate you on winning the auction and thank you. And then also we could just talk about anything really. So I forgot to say that, and I'll leave that at the end of the live stream. If you want to connect with me, it's probably the best way to connect with me, and you get something cool as well. So win-win. But Bite Hunter, Really appreciate your support. You've been around since the very beginning and always been super supportive. I really appreciate the super chat. Thank you. And Robert Laird in the house, by the way. We think alike. We think alike. You've been in a lot of my chats and a lot of my live streams, so I appreciate you being here, Robert. Thank you, man. Great first name, by the way. Great first name. I like your name. Yeah, I really appreciate you, Bite Hunter. You've been on this channel since a couple hundred people, it seems like, or way back. I remember you being on the channel. So you've been here with like VT247, a lot of the OGs of this channel. And so I appreciate you being here, Bite Hunter. Yeah, it really means a lot to me how much of the people from the very, very beginning of this channel, like 2 years ago, are still here. And the comment sections are what blows my mind, and I keep saying this in my live streams, I always have to select in the back end of YouTube to make sure that the comment sections are posted at a later time. Because the comment sections are every bit as valuable as the information I'm talking about. Because you have if I say something that might not be correct, or I might be a little bit off, or there's a valid criticism, the comment section says it in real time as I'm doing the video. So if you're watching this video at a later time, having the real comment section that's like unfiltered over there is really a big deal, but it doesn't do that automatically. I have to actually select that in the back end. So I happen to really value the comment sections of these. So thank you everybody so much for all the support. Really, really feel all the love from my community. And we really have quite a cool community here. And it's crazy that there doesn't have to be a moderator in these comment sections or anything. I always plan to do these live streams for like an hour, 30 minutes, an hour. And I'm 2 hours and 30 minutes, almost 3 hours here. So I'm going to call it a night, try to get a little bit of sleep. I'll probably be up till 2 in the morning doing something. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all the support. If you haven't clicked subscribe, somewhere in that general area right there, click it. If you haven't made an account on mineralexchange.com, please make an account on mineralexchange.com. Been putting in a lot of work. Hopefully things grow and stuff. But you know what? I'm just stoked that I get to do what I love. I get to keep building the things that I love. And I'm stoked on it. And it really hypes me up. It hypes me up, and it hypes me up that we have such a cool community here. Yeah, I'm with you. Pretty Boy Troy says, I don't understand how they can crash gold like this during this much inflation. Shake my head. I'm with you. It's just a matter of, it really is. In this video, I hope that there was a little bit of clarity there to what's going on, but it really is an artificial jump in the dollar index causing this. And there's a lot of, in my personal opinion, might not be a fact. It seems like there's a lot of manipulation by these big banks trying to hold the price down. Because at the end of the day, if you go, here's the plug. If you go to mineralexchange.com and you buy a 100-ounce silver bar, you now have taken that money out of the bank, because I'm accepting that money for a short period of time until I go buy something else with it, because it's hot potato money. But if you take the money out of your Chase bank account and you wire it over to Mineral Exchange, or you write a check or whatever, that fake money has now been turned into silver bar. And they don't like that very much. They like to keep custody of your money, of your digital nothingness in their bank. So they don't like when people buy stuff and whatnot. That's why they make it kind of hard to buy stuff, why there's limits and whatnot. But I think that there's a lot of manipulation because they don't want people to have custody of their money. They want to have custody of it. Excuse me. Not only do they want to have custody of it, but they don't even want to pay you interest on the custody of your money. It blows my mind that the banks get away. We'll end the live stream on this, because at some point I should make a clips channel or something, because I really, really strongly feel this. It blows my mind that the inflation rate is publicly out at 9.1%. We all know it's much higher than that if you use the real CPI, but they're publicly out at 9.1%. What bank keeps your money from melting? At the bare minimum, the fortunes they're making off of our money, flipping it in the back end through their Ponzi schemes, all their trade desks, all their different things. How do they have the power to keep the price of metals down? By using our own money against us. That's how. They don't even, with all of that going on, they still do not pay an interest rate to compensate for the inflation that is there. They make a fortune. They have a ton of power. They could easily, pay a fair interest rate, but they don't even pay 1%. If the inflation rate is 9.1% and I'm leaving you my money, you should at least have an interest rate to compensate for the inflation that your central banks have created. The commercial banks should be paying an interest rate to compensate for the melting of the money. If you can't keep my ice cube frozen, why do I keep my money with you in any type of quantity? Maybe you can be my, peer-to-peer transaction mechanism of your fake money, of your peer-to-peer artificial nothingness. But why would I leave any substantial amount of capital if I know that you're not keeping my ice cube frozen? You're letting my ice cube melt away, making yourself multiple ice cubes in the back end of your big banks, holding down the prices of things, manipulating things with our ice cubes while multiplying our ice cubes, but letting our original ice cube, our original investment melt away. It's sick. It's greed. It's the sickest thing. And the fact that if you want to do a wire transfer, why are you doing a wire transfer? Where are you sending this? Can I get their account, their routing, their all their information? Is it over this certain amount? Let me write that up for you. It's like, it's my money and you pay me no interest on my money. What kind of bad end deal is this? Are people not going to see through this? Because these people are con artists. It's crazy. The average going rate for a loan in the collectibles industry is 12%, and you're lucky to get that. You're lucky to get a 1% a month loan. If I need $100,000 extra for mineral exchange, I'm paying 12%, somewhere between 8 to 12%. And you want to know something funny? That's more than the inflation rate. Their inflation rate, at least. And so if I'm so happy to take a 12% loan, and a lot of people are very happy to pay a point a month in the collectibles game, why don't banks pay that? I'll never understand. It seems to me like somebody's a con artist in that situation. But that is the video. That's the last thing I'm going to say on here. Once you exit the matrix and you see things for what they are, it's very clear that we're being scammed by these institutions, and it's not a good idea to let them hold any substantial amount of your wealth, I say, with like if it's in fiat currency. But that's how I look at it. That's my overall sentiment. I won't waver. I won't change. I won't say it's ever a good idea to use a custodian. I've been the same for the last 2 years on this YouTube. I hope you guys know I haven't changed. Can't be bought. It is what it is. So thank you all for all the support. Have a great rest of your night, and I will see you at the next video. Signing out.